The Daycare Attendant Show, Act 1, Security Breach, Chapter 1, Sun and Moon. Sky sighs as the warmth of the blanket surrounds him. His heartbeat quickens as his eyelids slid shut. Suddenly, feeling the world tip around him, he scrambles for a hold, but all that meets his hands is open air. He crashes down into a deep chasm of something alien. He inhales sharply as the wind gets knocked from him. He fought his way to the surface. Something was surrounding him, smooth, round plastic balls. He floundered in the colorful sea of orbs, gasping for air, submerged in the colorful plastic spheres again. He pants, clawing the air. He looks around, swimming in the plastic balls, and broke the surface again, gasping and coughing. It was like the plastic balls were the ocean itself, except there was open air instead of waves. He spotted land and swam toward it. He clawed his way up onto the foam island and flopped down, gasping for breath. A wave of relief washed over him as he panted for air, feeling it cool and refreshing enter his lungs. The soft foam under his body was a nice relief from the frantic thrashing of the ball pit as well. "Having fun in the ball pit, little sunspot?" A cheerful voice chimes from above. Sky snaps open his eyes and yelps, flinching backwards. A dazzling display of bright yellows and gold with hints of red leaned over him, beaming happily. "Oops, sorry, little one. I didn't mean to scare you." The animatronic had a head shaped like a sun, its cheerful rays shifting and clicking as they rotated happily around its face. It's dressed in a red and yellow jester outfit. Its pants have slight stripes of light red and gold. It also has red ribbons hanging off its wrists, with bells jingling merrily and ruffles around his ankles that fluttered in the wind from the fans. He also has a red tutu around his waist with gold running through it, and a sort of ruffled collar the same color as the tutu and ankle ruffles. His main body is a light yellowish beige on half of its body, and a deep mustard yellow on the other half. There was a row of buttons like a vest going down its torso. This can't be real. A faint trace of memory slipping between Sky's mental fingers. Sun? Sun chuckles good-naturedly, looking down at the tiny human as they looked around curiously. "Wait, where am I?" Sky suddenly gasped, his head snapping from side to side. He feels dwarfs, and what he supposed were his clothes flopped uselessly. They were far too big for his little body. Tiny hands and feet were attached to stubby arms and legs. His voice squeaky and foreign, too. "What's wrong, Sunlight?" the sun animatronic asked worriedly. I don't know where I am," Sky cried. He suddenly started to breathe heavily, staring down at his shorter-than-usual body, stubby legs, and tiny hands. "Why am I so small?" he shouts, whimpering in distress. Hey, it's okay." The jester puts his hands in front of him in a placating gesture. "Here, can I touch you?" He slowly reached out. Sky shook his head frantically and flinched, breathing raggedly. Okay. Hey, how about this?" Sun knelt down and looked Sky in the eyes. "Can you name 5 things you can see around the daycare?" he asked softly. Sky looked around. Jungle gym? Yeah. Sky whimpers, trying to think, but his mind is foggy, his breathing quickened. "What else, little Ray?" "Ladder?" Sky whimpers, tears prickling in his eyes. Plushies?" "Yep, 2 more." "Kids?" Sky's throat tightens and he lets out a tiny sob. "1 more." "Ball pit?" Sky whimpers, barely holding back the torrent of tears prickling at his eyes, his heart hammering in his ears and his whole body starting to shake. "Okay, 4 things you can feel." Sky strains his senses, his mind foggy with sensations. "Full mat." "Clothes?" Sky starts to tug at his shirt, so constricting. "Good." "Air conditioning?" The air, once cooling, now feels like a human blanket wrapping around him. "Good." "The wood from the bridge?" Sky reaches out to touch the bridge over the ball pit, trying to grain his thoughts. "Good girl. Now, 3 things you can hear." Sky is suddenly very aware of all the noise. He cringes and covers his ears, rocking slightly. "Kids laughing?" "Yeah." "People talking? It hurts." Sky whimpers, grabbing his hair. I know. "Here, how about this?" Sky suddenly felt himself be picked up, and he almost resists, but suddenly the sounds got a lot dimmer. "Is that better?" Mm-hmm. Sky opened his eyes slightly and saw they were in a little tent. Mooney always did insist on a quiet corner, the jester said fondly. Sky sighed, his heartbeat slowing down. The quiet swishing of the tent. Good, now two things you can smell. Sky sniffed the air. His senses weren't as good in his human form compared to his Neko and cat form, but he can still smell things, especially when his senses were heightened like now. Some kind of food, and he sniffed. Something sweet. The sun jester smiled and handed Sky a little blue candy drop. One thing you can taste. Sky takes the candy suspiciously. He feels a lot calmer, so he cautiously pops it in his mouth and sucks on it. It tastes like cotton candy. Cotton candy? Sky says, sucking on the candy drop. It tastes sweet, and Sky lets the candy's flavor ground him. Suddenly, a wave of sleepiness washes over him and he yawns. His eyelids droop. He lays down in the sun jester's lap, closing his eyes, and is soon out like a light. It must have been a few hours that passed, because by the time Sky wakes up, the main daycare lights are out, and apart from the stars twinkling softly on the ceiling, it is dark, and the daycare is empty, void of the laughter and excitement from the day. It's almost creepy. Sky sits up and stretches. There is a soft blanket over him. He rubs his eyes groggily. Suddenly, a shadow falls over him. What's a starlight like you doing here? It's past your bedtime, a gruff voice inquires as the glimmer of light blue reflective eyes shines in the dark. Sky looks up and sees a jester like the sun one, but this one had the head of a moon. Instead of the red and yellow outfit, this jester wears a blue and purple outfit. This jester has stars on his pants like the lights on the ceiling, and the same ribbons, tutu, ruffles, and collar, but this time in a light purple with silver running through them, along with soft silver bells jingling softly in the night air. Hello? Sky whimpers, ducking under the blanket. Oh, little star, don't worry. I won't hurt you. The jester gently picks him up. I'm just wondering where your parents are. They, Sky suddenly realizes he can't just say they're not in this dimension. They're not here. Well, obviously, the moon jester sighs. Such careless people. They're not careless, Sky stops and thinks, the uncomfortable realization dawning on him. Maybe they are. The moon shook his head with a tisk-tisk sound. Guess I'll have to look after you until they come back. I can look after myself. I'm an adult, Sky squeaks indignantly. Oh, an adult are you? The moon jester smirks. Sky puffs out his chest. Yes, I am. The moon jester carefully adjusted Sky. Well, yes, how very grown up you are, the jester teases. Okay, I get it. I'm short. Kid, you're like 4, maybe 5? Sky stops and suddenly realizes he's in his younger self's body. Oh, Sky said, a little dumbfounded. Come on, let's get you something to eat. The moon jester gently adjusts his grip on Sky and suddenly swung into the air and over the daycare. Wow, we're so high up, Sky yelped, suddenly terrified of the fall, gripping onto the moon until his knuckles turned white. It's okay, I've got you. The moon jester gently rumbles in a cat-like purr. They swung into a play kitchen corner, and the jester lands on the ground, gently letting Sky down. Now let's see. No, not pizza. There's too much of that here, the moon said, looking through the real fridge next to the play kitchen. Oh, here we are. The jester held up a chicken sandwich. Here you go, kiddo. Oh, thanks, Sky said. He nibbled on the sandwich, his face scrunching up as he hit a tomato, the slimy texture of the tomato not sitting right with his stomach. He quickly removed the tomato and bites into it again. Ah, not a fan of tomato? Moondrop asked. Sky shook his head, still chewing on the patty. Ah, well, the jester pat Sky on the head. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Moondrop. Hi, Moondrop. I'm Chichi. A flicker of surprise rippled through him. He had used his younger persona's name. Well, I guess that works. Hello, Chichi. What a cute name. Yeah, I suppose. Chichi finished the patty. Was that enough? Moondrop asks. Yes, that was plenty, thank you. Good. Let's see about getting you some better clothes. Moon nodded to Chichi. Those don't look very comfortable. Chichi looked down and saw that the moon was right, that her clothes were way too big. I must have shrunk in the night. The moon swung Chichi up to the tower above the ball pit and landed in a pretty dirty-looking room, smelling of stale dust and old foam with toys and other bits and bobs littering the floor. Multiple boxes were stacked in a wobbly-looking tower. Sorry, it's a bit of a mess. I was looking for blankets and Sunny was asleep. Moon waded through the mess looking for a specific box. Sunny? Chichi tilted her head. My brother, the one you met before? Chichi's mind suddenly went back to earlier in the day with the excitable red and gold jester. Oh, Sunny, the cheerful one. Yep, that's one way to describe him. Now, let's see here. Moon found the box and searched through it for something Chichi might like. This might fit you. Moon handed Chichi a dress with a kitty on it. Aw, it's a kitty. Chichi's eyes lit up at the cute orange tabby cat on the front of the dress. Yeah, Sunny likes cats, but we're too big to fit in it, so it's all yours, kid. Thank you. Chichi excitedly ran into the bathroom and changed into the dress, which fit perfectly. Now, she didn't usually like dresses, but this one's fabric was so soft. I feel so cozy, Chichi giggled, bouncing on her toes. Looks good on you, Moon complimented. Thank you. Now what? Now we look for your parents. Aw, but I want to play, Chichi blurted out, surprising herself. It was as if her kitty instincts were finally starting to take hold. You can play while I talk to the staff boss, Moon said, swinging Chichi down and putting her on the soft foam mat, giving her a couple plushies to play with. Oh, it's a plushie of you and Sun, Chichi giggles and hugs them. And a bear, and I think that's an alligator and a chicken? Good job, you know your animals, Moon chuckled. Chichi looked out and saw another plushie apart from the others. And they're all best friends with the bunny, and they play and have parties. Moon looked over. His gaze was distant for a minute. He waved over to a mopbot and started talking to it, but came down a little downtrodden. And oh, Mr. Moon is the bestest friends with Mr. Sunnyman, and they never argue, never ever. And they all play with the other animals even though they're different. Moon smiled and looked out at the glass part of the daycare. It's almost daytime, Moon said distantly. It's time for Mr. Sunnyman to come out. He looked down at his hands. Come out? Chichi looks around. Where is Mr. Sunny? You'll see. As the rays of light crossed the daycare, Moon twitched and suddenly Chichi heard spinning gears, and the moon part sprouted rays, and then a claw arm took the hat off Mooney's head. His blue star parachute pants were flipped up and got replaced with red and yellow pants, and the lights on his eyes turned off as they rotated to show white instead of blue. Mr. Sunman looked around, looking a little dazed, and then suddenly he caught sight of Chichi. Oh, Sunspot! He smiled and lifted Chichi in the air and spun around. Whee! Chichi giggles and waves her arms in the air. What are you doing here so late, little Ray? Sun asked, looking over at Chichi. My parents aren't here, Chichi said, sticking with the lie. Oh my, well, let's see here. Oh! Sun looked down and picked up the Moon plushie. Did Mooney get you all dressed in this adorable outfit? Yep, Chichi giggled. Aw, how wonderful. Sun smiled. Have you had breakfast? I had a chicken patty, Chichi said, messing with the bells on Sun's wrist. She liked the way they jingled. That's all, Sun fretted. My, Mooney, you're not very good at taking care of feeding the kiddos. Sunnyman sounded like he was talking to himself. Yes, I know we shouldn't give her pizza, but that's no reason to just give her a chicken patty. Chichi tilted her head and smiled. Let's see about getting you some breakfast. Proper breakfast, Sun said, and adjusted Chichi gently. Instead of swinging above the daycare, they just walked over to the little kitchen set up in the corner of the daycare, and Sun put her in one of the colorful little chairs at a small table. Now what do you like? Oatmeal? Cereal? Pancakes? Chichi tried to weigh how hungry she was, and decided she wasn't very hungry at all. I'm not hungry, Chichi said, waving politely. Are you sure? Not even a bowl of fruit? Sun asked. No, thank you, Chichi said, and looked around, finally taking in the daycare. The ceiling was high above them, probably so Mooney could swing around on the wires. There were 2 jungle gyms, one bigger than the other, with wires all over them. They had the faces of the animal plushies, a bear, an alligator, and a chicken. Instead of the bunny, there was a fox, or maybe it was a wolf, or maybe a wolf. In the front was a big desk with a screen over it, flashing an ad of something called an Energizer candy. Lemon flavored, it said. A pair of huge faux wooden doors were next to it. Then on the other wall, facing the back, was the tower with the ball pit below it, and a few castle turrets to hide in. "This place is huge," Chichi said. "This place is huge," Chichi said, looking around amazed. "And this is just a daycare," Sun said, smiling. "Just a daycare? Wow, what's outside it?" "You've been through there. There's not a way to get into the daycare without having gone through the entrance." Sun looked a little confused. "All I remember is waking up in the ball pit," Chichi said, trying to think. "The ball pit?" Sun looked toward the ball pit. "Yeah, that's strange. Maybe you hit your head?" Sun gently felt Chi-Chi's head to check for any bumps. "I don't know." Chi-Chi suddenly pouted and crossed her arms. "That's all I remember." "Okay," Sun said, patting Chi-Chi's head. "Hey, by the way, what's your name?" "It's, Chi-Chi," Chi-Chi said, trying to think. She thought it was Chi-Chi. It's the only name she remembered, anyway. It was all so confusing and stupid. Why do I have to forget important things when I'm perfectly capable of remembering other things? Chi-Chi thought in frustration. "Chi-Chi is a nice name. I'm Sunrise," Sun said, sitting crisscrossed in front of Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi uncrossed her arms and reached out, touching one of Sunny Man's rays. It wiggled slightly, and she giggled. "Oh, is that fun now?" Sun smirked and ruffled Chi-Chi's long brown hair. Chi-Chi reached up and took Sun's arm in her little hands and started to absent-mindedly play with his fingers. She noticed he had soft pads on his fingers and palm, like kitty paw pads. It was so cute. "Now what do we do with you?" Sun thought, smiling as Chi-Chi played with his fingers. "I suppose if you want, you can play with the other kiddos when they get here." Chi-Chi suddenly looked frightened. "No, I don't wanna. They're too loud," Chi-Chi whimpered. "Okay," Sun thought. "I suppose you can stay in the tower for the day and see if your parents come by." Chi-Chi thought. She didn't like her parents very much. This Sunny Man was much better, but she knew they'd probably get worried. "Okay," Chi-Chi said reluctantly. Sun smiled and scooped her up and took her to the tower. As soon as they entered, he got all frantic and scrambled, cleaning the room. Chi-Chi thought it was very funny. "All right, I've set up a little sleeping bag if you get tired, and there are plenty of plushies and pillows to snuggle up to," Sun said, patting Chi-Chi's head. "Okay, thank you, Mr. Sunnyman." Chi-Chi snuggled under the cupboards and hugged onto the Sun and Moon plushies. "All right, now you stay here until the daycare closes," Sun said, giving Chi-Chi one more head pat before heading downstairs to the daycare. Chi-Chi tried to sleep. She really did. But it suddenly got very loud when the kids came, and even when she burrowed her head into the pillow, it didn't keep out the noise. She sat up and nervously played with the sun doll. "Don't worry, Chi-Chi," she made the sun plushie say. "You're safe up here." Chi-Chi sighed and closed her eyes, pressing her head against the pillow, trying to block out the noise. It was going to be a long day. Chapter 2, The Virus. Sun and Moon didn't know what to really do with Chi-Chi. If they were honest with themselves, they loved having a forever friend around, even if it was against the rules. Moon told Sun they would have to give her up to the authorities, but Sun refused, saying Chi-Chi was safe here for now. Many nights and days and nights passed, and Chi-Chi got comfortable with the brothers. Although she didn't really like staying in the tower until nighttime, Sun would come up and check on her and give her lunch or snacks. Once he said they were having a birthday party at the daycare, and Chi-Chi got to have a slice of cake. That was a very good day. Chi-Chi would play with her plushies, try to ignore the sound outside, occasionally peek over the edge to see what Sunny Man was up to, or when Mooney would come out for nap times. Chi-Chi would say she was pretty happy, not really caring if she wasn't home. If she was honest with herself, she felt a lot safer in the daycare than at home anyway. She didn't really know how to get home, in fact. She didn't even know where home was. Chi-Chi sat up and groaned. "I know Sun says I'm safe up here, but boy does it get boring." Chi-Chi stood up. There had been a lull in noise. Maybe the kids were taking their nap. She walked over to the edge of the stage and peeked over it curiously, tilting her head. She didn't hear anything, and the lights were out. "Mooney," Chi-Chi whispered into the dark. "Mooney, are you there?" Silence. Chi-Chi whimpered. It was eerily quiet. "Mooney? Sunny? Anybody?" Chi-Chi cried. Then she shrunk back. Cruel laughter filled the air. Then Chi-Chi crawled under the blanket and curled into a ball, shaking in fear. "Naughty children must be punished," a dark voice came from the darkness. It sounded kind of like Mooney, but darker. Gigi scrunched her eyes shut as a scraping sound came from the dark. Naughty children must be found, a voice purred. Go away, no naughty children here, Gigi thought. It was so dark behind Gigi's eyelids, but suddenly a light came through, a red, piercing light full of malicious intent. Naughty children must be punished, a voice growled right above Chi-Chi. No, 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 don't find me, Chi-Chi thought desperately. Naughty children, the voice purred, and suddenly the daycare lights flashed on and a scream was heard, a scream of pain and fury. Chi-Chi cringed and buried her head in the pillow, trying to block out the awful noise. Suddenly the familiar sound of Sun's gasp sounded through the blanket. Moony, no, stop it, Sun cried and whimpered in pain. A thud. Moondrop, stop, Sun pleaded. Chi-Chi started to cry, tiny sobs getting through the blanket. Oh, Chi-Chi. Suddenly the blanket was lifted off Chi-Chi and she screamed as light seared her retinas. Shh, it's me, it's okay, Sun said, picking Chi-Chi up and putting her in his lap. Let me go, Chi-Chi screamed. She scrambled out of Sun's grip and scrambled backwards. Suddenly she felt open air and she screamed as she fell, squeezing her eyes shut tight. Chi-Chi, Sun yelled, catching Chi-Chi's foot. Suddenly Chi-Chi was jolted to a stop in midair. She dared open her eyes and started to cry as she saw the dizzying drop suddenly yawning below her. Shh, hey, it's okay. Something suddenly scooped her up and landed lightly in the ball pit. Chi-Chi sobbed as Sun led her down on the soft foam on one of the islands. Hey, it's okay, it's me, it's Sunnyman. Sun gently touched Chi-Chi's head. Chi-Chi yelled and scrambled back, tears streaming down her face. It was hard to see. She blinked and whimpered, rubbing her eyes, shaking something awful. Oh, Chi-Chi, I'm sorry I scared you. Sun sighed and sat down on the mat. Chi-Chi looked at Sun, eyes wide, tears still trickling down her face. Her eyes stung from all the tears in them. Moony was pretty scary, huh? Sun asked, sighing. Chi-Chi nodded and brought her knees to her chest. Sun looked around, then spotted an abandoned moon flesh and smiled, picking it up and holding out for Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi stared at it and turned away, putting her face in her arms. The Sun sighed. Come on, Sunspot, let's get you back up to the tower. Chi-Chi shook her head and scrambled backwards into one of the turrets. Chi-Chi, come on. It's okay, Moony won't hurt you. Chi-Chi whimpered and buried her head into her arms. Chi-Chi, please, I have to go talk to a security guard. You can't stay out here alone, Sun pleaded. Chi-Chi ignored him. Sun sighed. Just stay here until I get back, okay? Sun stood up and headed out of the daycare. Chi-Chi started to sob, her little body shaking. Why was Moony so scary? He had said Chi-Chi was a naughty child that must be punished. Was it because she had gotten impatient? She had called to Moony because she was bored, but if so, she'd never ever disobey Moony ever again. Chi-Chi stayed in that turret until Sun came back, too scared to move in case Moony came back and tried to punish her again. Good, Sunspot, Sun said and patted Chi-Chi's head. You stayed exactly where I told you to. Chi-Chi nodded. She didn't want Moony to come back and think she was a naughty child that must be punished. She obediently followed Sun back to the tower, not wanting to be picked up. Sun sighed and sat against a wall, burying his face in his hands. Sunny? Chi-Chi asked meekly. Sun looked up. He looked tired, if animatronics could get tired, that is. Yes, Sunlight? He asked, his voice hollow. Did I do something bad? Chi-Chi whimpered. Oh, no. Sun crawled over to Chi-Chi and put a hand on her cheek. You did nothing wrong, Sunspot. Then why was Moony mad at me? He wasn't mad at you. But he said I was a naughty child that should be punished, Chi-Chi whimpered. I know, Sun sighed and shook his head. You did nothing wrong. Is there something wrong with Moony? Chi-Chi asked worriedly. I'm not sure. He's been acting weird, and when it was nap time, he forced his way out instead of gently taking over. He scared the kids pretty bad. I think something's wrong with the code. Can he be fixed? I don't know, Sun sighed. Chi-Chi looked away. Is there something I can do to help? Maybe I can talk to him. Maybe he's just sad or upset? I don't think that's a very good idea, Sunspot. Sun gently tousled Chi-Chi's hair with his hand. Is he gonna be okay? Chi-Chi whimpered. Are we gonna be okay? We're gonna be fine. For now, let's just get you something to eat. Then we can play a game. Sun was clearly hiding something. So Chi-Chi could sense it. But it didn't seem worth arguing, so Chi-Chi just nodded and followed Sun to the kitchen. Sun made Chi-Chi a sandwich with cheese and ham. Chi-Chi chewed on it sadly. She thought maybe when it was bedtime, she could talk to Mooney. Maybe she could apologize for making him mad. Maybe he would be all right. After lunch, Chi-Chi and Sun played a game of Go Fish. Chi-Chi had learned Sun's favorite game was Uno, but he got very competitive over it when they played it with the other animatronics. So for a more somber game, they played Go Fish. Eventually, Chi-Chi got tired, and Sun took her back up to the tower. Chi-Chi had hoped Sun would let Moon out, so she could apologize, but Sun just tugged Chi-Chi in and sat in the corner while plugged in, fiddling with the moon plush and eventually closing his eyes to charge. He hadn't even turned off the light, so it was very bright, and Chi-Chi had a hard time sleeping. Eventually, Chi-Chi drifted into an uneasy sleep and dreamed of Mooney and Sun. Here they were separate animatronics, and they all played together, but suddenly Mooney started acting strange, saying weird, dark things about children being punished, started to chase Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi pleaded for Moon to stop, but eventually Moon caught Chi-Chi and laughed evilly about punishing Chi-Chi for being a naughty child. Chi-Chi sat up and gasped. She rubbed her eyes and looked up. The lights were still on, but Sun was gone. Chi-Chi peeked over the edge of the stage and saw Sun pacing around and around the little nap time area. Mooney, please, tell me what's wrong. You don't act like this. You scared Chi-Chi and all the other kids, Sun said, waving his arms around. A pause, and Chi-Chi is not a naughty child. She's good. Another pause. Moon, those children only had a nightmare. They weren't being bad. You could have hurt them. Chi-Chi whimpered and went downstairs to the theater and over to Sun. Sun didn't notice her until she touched him. He flinched and swung around with eyes wide, then saw it was just Chi-Chi and sighed. Little Sunlight, what are you doing up? He asked, rubbing his eyes. He looked like he had been crying. I had a nightmare, Chi-Chi whimpered. Oh, come here. Sun opened his arms and Chi-Chi hugged Sun. Can Mooney come out now? Chi-Chi asked. No, Sunspot, Sun said, sighing. But it's nighttime. It's Mooney's time. Chi-Chi tilted her head confused. Moon isn't feeling good right now, Sun said, sitting down and patting the ground for Chi-Chi to do the same. What about nap times? Chi-Chi said. It's Mooney's job. I'll have to take care of nap times until Mooney can be fixed, Sun sighed. I can help, Chi-Chi said, puffing out her chest. I'd love that, little Sunspot, as long as the noise isn't too much for you. Sun ruffled Chi-Chi's hair and she giggled. I'll be the bestest helper until Moon gets better, Chi-Chi said happily, hugging Sun. Sun smiled sadly. Thank you. And from then on, instead of staying up in the tower, Chi-Chi would spend the days helping Sun in the daycare. The kids instantly took a liking to her, having another kid to play with who also worked in the daycare. Chi-Chi quickly made friends, even if it was a little intimidating to talk to the grown-ups. Chi-Chi! A little girl called. Chi-Chi turned around and was immediately hugged by a girl with blonde hair and glasses with different colored eyes. Hi, Willow, Chi-Chi giggled while hugging her friend. Hey, Chi-Chi, a boy said cheerfully. Hi, Jorge, Chi-Chi waved, smiling. Sun says we get to have a field trip today. Willow bounced a little. Yeah, we get to go to Roxy Raceway. Chi-Chi nodded, wiping her hands on her apron. She got her own little apron with the name tag that said her name on it. Under it said Assistant Daycare Attendant. I love Roxy. She's so pretty, Willow giggled. She's a little stuck up, Jorge said, wrinkling his nose. Is Willow coming too? Chi-Chi asked. No, he wants to go with Mom to see Freddy. I swear he's obsessed with that bear, Jorge said, shaking his head. I don't blame him. Freddy's cool, Chi-Chi said, bouncing on her toes. I like Bonnie best, Jorge said, but I haven't seen him around lately. Yeah, Monty's been a lot more active in the band too, Chi-Chi said. He's kind of scary. It's okay. I'll protect you from scary gators, Jorge said heroically. Willow giggled as Chi-Chi smiled. All right, little sunrays, time for this field trip. Remember to stay close to me at all times, Son said, leading the children out of the daycare and up to the atrium. I forgot how big this place is, Jorge said, staring around a little awestruck. That's why it's easy to get lost, Chichi said, also looking around. Don't worry, I'll stay close to you, Jorge said, smiling. Thank you, Chichi said, hugging Jorge. They followed Son down the escalator to Roxy Raceway. Now remember to be nice to the staff, Son instructed. We will, the children all chorused. Good. Son smiled and led them inside. Inside, Roxy was waiting, wearing her racer jacket. Hello, little wolf pups. Ready to have some fun? She asked eagerly. Yeah, the children said excitedly. All right, one child per car, the staff member said as they walked up to the starting line. I'm so excited, Willow giggled. I have to stay with Son. I'll see you guys after, Chichi said, waving to her friends, and walked over to Son, who was by Roxy talking. Hey, it's the short stack, Roxy said, ruffling Chichi's hair. Hi, Roxy, Chichi giggled. How you been, kid? Roxy asked. Good, Chichi smiled. Don't you want to go race with the other kids? Son asked, kneeling down to Chichi. No, it's a little loud in here, and the cart's all screechy, Chichi said, fiddling with her apron. All right, if you're sure, Son said. Aw, come on, pup. It'll be fun, Roxy encouraged her. Chichi's a little sensitive to noise, Son explained. Ah, I see, Roxy nodded. Hey, why not get a pair of headphones like the ones the construction workers wear? That's a good idea, Son said. Chichi looked up at Son as the lights suddenly flashed and the staff announced the race was starting. It's okay, kid. It's just noise, Son said. Chichi hugged Son and covered her ears as the starting blare went off. Hey, how about you sit in the salon until it's over, Son said, leading Chichi over to Roxy's salon. It's mostly just a staff chill-out spot. Not many kids wanted to get their hair done these days. Chichi sat down in one of the chairs and Son patted her head and told her he'd pick her up when the race was over. Hey, kid, a staff member said. Chichi looked up. Hi, Chichi waved. Just hanging out here until the race is done? He asked. Yeah, it's a bit loud. It's called the raceway for a reason, he chuckled. I suppose. I kind of wish I could have stayed at the daycare, but no one's there right now. Yeah, it's kind of mandatory to go on a field trip, the staff member sighed. They need to get someone else to help Son, especially since Moon is out of whack. Yeah, Chichi looked down at her shoes. Well, have fun, I guess. I gotta get back to work, the staff member said, and waved as they left. Bye, Chichi waved. Chichi sighed. She could still hear the race, but it wasn't nearly as loud. She closed her eyes. She should have brought a book or something. Oh well. Suddenly there was a pitter-patter of tiny feet running. Chichi looked up. Hello? Chichi called. Is someone there? She jumped off the chair nervously. She heard stories from the other kids that some of the Fazbear pizzerias were haunted, but she didn't think that this specific one was. Hello? She called again. She walked towards where the noise had come from. Is she gone? A voice asked. Who? Who? Chichi asked. The security lady, the voice whimpered. I think so. Chichi turned a corner and saw a boy about maybe 7 or 8, crouching behind a box of salon chairs. Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you, Chichi said gently. Oh, good, the boy said, sighing, as he stood up. He was much taller than Chichi. What's a kid like you doing here anyway? I thought everyone was at the racetrack. I really don't like noise, Chichi admitted. Ah, I see. The kid held out a hand. I'm Gregory. Chichi. Chichi took the hand and shook it. Nice to meet you, Chichi, Gregory said, then looked down at the name tag on Chichi's chest. Assistant daycare attendant? Aren't you a little young to work at the daycare? I helped Sonny since Moon is not feeling good. He's creepy, Gregory observed. He's not. He's actually very nice, Chichi said. Gregory looked unconvinced. Anyway, what are you doing here? This is mostly for staff, Chichi said. I was hiding, Gregory said, looking around. Hiding from what? That security lady is trying to get me, Gregory said. What security lady? Chichi looked around. She's not here right now, Gregory admitted. Oh, okay. Chichi, the voice of Son called. Gregory ducked back behind the boxes. I'm over here, Son, Chichi called. No, shh, he'll find us, Gregory said. Son? He's very nice. Chichi probably shouldn't admit she secretly lived with Son. The story they usually told was she lived nearby and her parents worked at the Pizzaplex, so she mostly stayed in the daycare all day, helping Son out. Don't let him find me, Gregory said. Oh, there you are, Son said, walking over to Chichi. Hi, Son. Chichi glanced back at the boxes, but suddenly Gregory wasn't there. Son looked to where Chichi was looking. What are you looking at, Sunspot? Nothing. I thought I saw a spider, Chichi lied. Oh, well, come on, Son said, turning to head out of the salon. Chichi glanced back at the empty spot behind the boxes. Well, that sure was weird. She followed Son out of the salon to where all the other kids waited. That was so fun, Willow giggled. Too bad you had to miss it, Jorge nodded to Chichi. You know, work stuff and all, Chichi said, smiling nervously. Blarg, Willow said. Boring. Son had the group of kids back to the daycare where the parents waited for pickup time. Goodbye, sunshines, and have a fabulous day, Son said, waving to all the kids as they left. Chichi was cleaning up by the nap time area as Son walked over. Hey, Son, Chichi asked. Yes, Sunspot? Son looked up, smiling as he picked up one of the pillows. Is this place haunted? Chichi asked. Why would you ask such a thing? Of course not, Son asked, tilting his head. Why do you ask? I thought I saw something, Chichi said, shaking her head. But it was probably just my imagination. Oh, okay, Son said, patting Chichi on the head. Too much fizzy fazz before bed. Yeah, probably, Chichi smiled nervously. As usual at bedtime, Son didn't turn off the lights, but merely tucked Chichi in and sat to charge. This night, Chichi lay awake, thinking about the boy she saw. Don't let him find me, he had said. Why was he so scared of Son? Chichi thought. Chichi sighed and turned over, closing her eyes. Chapter 3. Gregory. Son and Chichi have been living without Mooney for a few years now, but clearly the lack of moon was taking a huge toll on Son. He was getting more and more paranoid about the dark at night time. So after Chi-Chi's 7th birthday, she had enough experience to take over nap times. All right, little ones, time for nap time. You're not in charge of us, a boy said, crossing his arms. You're barely old enough to remember things clearly. Chi-Chi sighed. She didn't like doing this, but do you want me to get Mooney? The boy yelped and shook his head, eyes wide. Good, now, sleep time. Chi-Chi turned off the little light near the nap time corner, and grabbed a book. Hey, Chi-Chi, Willow whispered. Chi-Chi rubbed her eyes, a little tired herself. Want us to stay awake while you rest? She sat up. No, I've got it. Chi-Chi sighed. You look tired, Jorge observed gently. I'm fine, it's just been a lot. Chi-Chi sighed. We'll stay awake, Jorge decided. Are you sure? Chi-Chi asked. Yeah, we can nap later. Willow came over to sit beside Chi-Chi. Jorge came to sit on the other side of her and gently reached out to pat her back. Okay, Chi-Chi sighed. Thank you. Chi-Chi closed her eyes and drifted off. The same dream came again, and Mooney chased Chi-Chi to the Pizzaplex. Again and again this dream occurred. Chi-Chi was getting tired of it, so this time she turned and confronted Moon. Why do you keep chasing me? Chi-Chi asked squeakily. Naughty children must be punished, Moon growled, prowling forward, body twisted in a horrific way, his head twitching. I'm not a naughty child. I've been helping Son all this time. Chi-Chi stepped forward, almost face to face with Moondrop. Chi-Chi, Moon said, clearly struggling to get back into control. His eyes flickered from red to blue and back again. Moony, please, Chi-Chi begged. I know this isn't you. Chi-Chi, Moon reached out and put a hand on Chi-Chi's head. Listen, I don't have much time, he said, his eyes flickering frantically. Chi-Chi's eyes went wide. Moony, is that really you? I'm not myself right now. Don't let the lights turn off no matter what. I won't, Chi-Chi promised. Thank you, Moon said, ruffling Chi-Chi's hair. Be safe, Starlight. Bye, Moony. Chi-Chi sighed. She could tell she was waking up. Chi-Chi opened her eyes, stared around, blearily rubbing her eyes. The light shone as bright as ever, and as she sat up the kids started waking up too. Have a good nap? Jorge asked. Chi-Chi looked over and smiled, nodding. That's good. You sounded like you were having a dream. Was it a nice dream? Chi-Chi's mind flashed back to Dream Mooney and what he had said. I'm not myself right now. Don't let the lights turn off no matter what. Yeah, you could say that. Gigi stood up. Hello, little skylights. Time to go. Your parents are waiting for you outside. Have a fazerific day. The kid stood up and waved goodbye to the three daycare helpers. Bye, Willa said, standing up. Jorge stood and put his hands on his hips. I call today a success. Yep, Willa said proudly. Where's Son? Gigi asked. Probably in the tower, Jorge said. We can help clean up if you want to check up on him. Thank you. Gigi hugged Jorge and Willow, then rushed up to the theater and entered the tower, looking around. She spotted Son slumped over by the left wall. Son! Gigi rushed over and shouted, shaking the Son. What? Son mumbled, looking up. You were passed out, Gigi said, looking worried. No, no, I was just charging. Son pointed to the cord attached to his charging port in his head. Oh, thank the stars. Gigi sighed and hugged Son. Are you okay, Sonny? Yeah, I'm okay. Son smiled, but his smile only reached his cheeks, not his eyes. Okay, Gigi said, suspiciously. Now it's been a long day. Let's get some sleep, Son said. Gigi brought her blanket over to Son and lay down against him, resting her chin on his stomach. You want to sleep with me today? Son asked. Gigi nodded, closing her eyes. Okay. Son sighed and put an arm around Gigi. Good night, Son, Gigi mumbled. Night, Gigi. Son sighed again and closed his eyes. The two slept peacefully, even with the lights on. Suddenly there was a noise in the pit. Gigi sat up, and so did Son. What was that? Gigi asked nervously. I don't know. I'll go check it out. Stay here, Son said, walking over to the stage. Suddenly Son laughed. Ho, 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 and plunged into the ball pit. Son! Gigi yelped, as she ran to the stage edge and looked over it. She saw, wait a minute, that was a kid. Wait, no, that wasn't just any kid, that was Gregory. And suddenly Sonny jumped out of the ball pit and scooped Gregory up, who yelped and struggled in Son's arms, looking frightened. Hello, new friend. You sure are up late. Are we having a slumber party? Where are all your friends? Get off me, Gregory yelled. Oh, little friend, it's okay, I won't hurt you. Son looked up to the stage and saw Chi-Chi. It's okay, Son thought. It's just a kid. You can come down now. Okay. Chi-Chi ran through the theater and down to the daycare. Hey, Gregory. Chi-Chi, what are you doing here so late? Gregory asked as Son put him down. I, kind of live here, Chi-Chi admitted. Oh, Gregory looked a little awkward. So I could ask you the same question, Chi-Chi asked, hands on hips. I, got stuck here overnight, Gregory said, scratching his arm. Oh? Chi-Chi tilted her head. Are you hungry, little one? Son asked, kneeling to Gregory's eye level. Gregory, was it? A little, Gregory said, nodding. Let's get you a late night snack. Son smiled. The three went up to the daycare kitchen, and Son made his two little friends some bowls of ice cream. This isn't really food, Son, Chi-Chi said, looking dubiously at the ice cream. It's good enough for me, Gregory said. I never get to have ice cream. Uh, okay, Chi-Chi said. She took a bite of the ice cream. It was her favorite flavor, mint chocolate chip. Gregory took a huge bite of ice cream and got it all over his face, but he kept eating. You got a little something on your face, Kiki said, handing Gregory a napkin. Oh, thank you. Gregory wiped his face and continued to eat. Gigi picked at her ice cream, taking small bites here and there. Not enjoying your ice cream? Son asked. I just don't want ice cream right now, Gigi sighed. She suddenly felt all scared and her belly clenched. She didn't know why, but her whole body was telling her to run. Thank you, Mr. Sun. Gregory had finished his ice cream and was wiping his mouth on the napkin. Glad to be of service, Sun smiled. Now, how about some arts and crafts? Sun said, cleaning up the bowls of ice cream. No, thank you. I'm gonna go to bed, Chi-Chi said, faking a yawn. Aw, come on, Chi-Chi, Gregory said, nudging her with his elbow. No, thanks. Chi-Chi walked up to the tower, but secretly peeked over the edge of the stage, watching Sun and Gregory. She had a bad feeling about this kid. We can we can finger paint, tell stories, and drink fizzy faz until our heads explode, Sun said eagerly. Okay. Gregory looked around the daycare toward the security desk. No, she was gonna get the security badge. While Sun had his back turned, collecting paper and paints, Gregory made a dash for the desk. Sun heard him running and looked up. "No, friend, this area is off limits. You're gonna get us into trouble." Sun panicked, fidgeting nervously. "Do you want a puppet show? I have glitter glue. You like glitter glue? Googly eyes?" Gigi knew this was her only chance. She ran to the daycare and ran to the security desk and tackled Gregory. Ran down to the daycare and ran to the security desk, tackling Gregory down, but not before he snagged the security badge. "No, no, no!" Gigi cried as his light shut off. "No, no! Why would you do that? Lights on! Lights on! Gigi, run!" Sun cried, clawing at his face frantically. Gigi cowered as she heard gears spin and rays retracted, and a hat flew onto his head, and his eyes turned red. "What's happening?" Gregory yelled. "You're about to meet Mr. Moon," Chi-Chi whimpered. "What?" Gregory yelped. "Naughty boy, naughty boy," a voice purred. Mooney climbed onto the security desk and danced around. "It's past your bedtime. You must be punished. Nighty night." Moon flew off on the wire. "No, no, no, no." Chi-Chi looked around for an escape. "There. We have to run," Chi-Chi told Gregory and took his hand and ran toward the smaller jungle gym. "I do not know what you did, but the lights are out in the daycare," a voice said from Gregory's wrist as they ran into the jungle gym. It sounded like Glamrock Freddy. "You need to find the emergency backup generators. They are in the play structures." "Freddy says the generators are in the play structures," Gregory whispered. "Bad children must be punished," Moon purred from outside the play structure. "Okay, we have to find the generators," Chi-Chi said, looking determined. They crawled through the smaller plate structure, getting utterly lost, but eventually Chi-Chi saw a wire. "So that's what these were used for." "There!" Chi-Chi and Gregory said in unison, crawled over to the generator and flipped the lever on to be to be on when the light on it turned green. "Now I think 4 more to go," Chi-Chi estimated. Gregory nodded determinedly. They crawled and turned on all the generators in that play structure, then ran over and started looking for the generators in the other play place. Suddenly they heard cruel laughter. "Naughty children! It's past your bedtime." "Crap, he's in there with us," Gregory cursed. "Oh no," Gigi whimpered. "Naughty children," Moondrop purred. "Where are you?" "We have to find these quick," Gregory growled. "Mm-hmm." Chi-Chi suddenly froze while listening. "Naughty children," Moon snarled. Chi-Chi yelped and whirled around and screamed. Moondrop was right behind them. "Chi-Chi," Moon purred. "Come here, Starlight." "No, you're not Moony," Chi-Chi stuttered out. "Oh, but little Starlight, I won't hurt you," Moon laughed. "You're not Moony," Chi-Chi yelled, then suddenly saw something glinting on Moony's circuit board. "Naughty girl, you must be punished for not listening." "Hold on, Moony. Let me just—" Chi-Chi crawled over to Moony. "Chi-Chi, what are you doing?" Gregory shouted. "Just gotta get this." Chi-Chi reached out to the back of Moony's head and unplugged the shiny round disc that was attached to his headboard. "Naughty girl," Moon snarled and picked up Chi-Chi by her arm and squeezed tightly. Chi-Chi screamed in pain. Suddenly Moon's eyes flickered red to blue like before in Chi-Chi's dream, but suddenly they flashed blue and stayed blue. Chi-Chi started to cry from the pain as Moony was still holding on to her. She tried to pry her arm out of Moon's grasp, and suddenly Moon gasped. "Oh, stars!" Moony placed Chi-Chi down on the playplace. "Oh, stars, what have I done?" Moony crouched down and grabbed his head in his hands. "Stars, I'm so sorry." Moon looked up at the kids. "It's okay, Moony. It wasn't you." Chi-Chi tried to reassure him. I, Moony stammered. "How many have I hurt?" The moon suddenly looked horrified. "Moony, it's okay. You haven't hurt anyone. Just scared a couple kids," Chi-Chi said, touching the moon on his arm. Moony's eyes suddenly went wide, and he scrambled back away from Chi-Chi and Gregory. "Get away from me. I'm dangerous." "Moony, you're not dangerous." But I—" Moon started to hyperventilate. "Hey, Moon, shh, it's okay." Chichi said, putting her hands up to show she wasn't gonna touch him. Can you name 5 things you can see? No, it's dark. Oh, God, I think I'm gonna. Suddenly Moon's eyes rolled upward and he fell forward. Moony! Chichi yelled. She went over to Moony and saw his power was on and he was breathing, but he was out cold. Oh, Moony, Chi-Chi sighed. He's out cold, Chi-Chi said over her shoulder to Gregory, sitting down in front of Moony to wait. Great, now we can leave, Gregory said, turning. Wait, first we have to get the generator back on so the doors work, and wait for Moony to wake up, Chi-Chi said, sounding very grown up. But we, but he tried to attack us. We shouldn't have to wait for him. Gregory flailed his arms around in wild gestures. He's my brother, Gregory, so you can leave if you want, but I'm going to stay right here until my brother wakes up. Gigi sat down and refused to move. But Gregory rolled his eyes and moaned about waiting for a killer and plopped down on the ground and crossed his arms. Gigi ignored him and gently jingled Mooney's bell on his head, giggling softly. Mm-mm, Moon groaned. What? My head. Moon winced. Hey, easy, Mooney. It's okay. Gigi soothed. Gigi? Ugh, where am I? Oh. Mooney spotted Gregory and everything came flashing back to him. I'm so sorry, you two. It's okay. You weren't yourself. Gigi patted Mooney's hand. Gregory just grumbled. Moon sighed. Thank you for pulling that disc out of my head. It was really messing with my mind. Moon shook his head as if shaking off water from a stream and sat up. Of course, Mooney, Gigi smiled. Sure, Gregory grumbled. Oh, we should probably turn the generators back on, I think Sunny would probably want to be able to talk to you again, Gigi said, smiling. Yeah, probably, Mooney smiled. Gigi hugged Mooney, and Mooney looked startled for a minute, but then hugged Gigi back. They flipped the generators to be on, and the lights flashed to be on. Gigi blinked a couple times to get used to the brightness. Moon transformed into Sun. Sun blinked and looked around blearily, then spotted Chi-Chi and Gregory. Oh, thank goodness you two are okay. Sun scooped Chi-Chi and Gregory up and hugged them tightly. Let go of me. Gregory squirmed in Sun's grasp. Gregory hopped down and crossed his arms. Chi-Chi hugged Sun back, then Sun suddenly gasped. Mooney! He grinned. You're back. Sunny gave himself a tight squeeze. I'm so glad. Sun swung Chi-Chi around, happily smiling. Chi-Chi giggled. Now, I think it's time for a certain rule breaker to leave. Sun put his hands on his hips. Yeah, I'm going, Gregory grumbled. Come on, Chi-Chi. What? Chi-Chi looked at Gregory. Aren't you coming? Gregory looked at Chi-Chi, surprised. Well, I would, but I have my family here. Chi-Chi fidgeted nervously. Oh, Gregory looked a little sad. I guess I'm on my own then. Wait, I want to come, and, Gigi whimpered. She wanted to stay with Sun and Moon, but she also wanted to go with Gregory, especially since Gregory would be alone. How about this? Sun spoke up. You could go with Gregory if you let me come along as well. What? No, Gregory growled. But Sun will protect us, Gigi protested. I'm not having the animatronic that almost killed us come with us, Gregory snarled. Fine, then I won't go. Gigi crossed her arms and stuck up her nose, turning her back on Gregory. Wait, but Gregory hesitated, then rolled his eyes. Ugh, fine. You can come. Yay! Gigi hugged Gregory. Thank you. You won't regret it. Well, come on then. What are we waiting for? Gregory said, nudging Gigi. Let's go. Some followed the two kids as they left the daycare behind. Chapter 4 Prize Counter Once they exited the daycare, they saw Glamrock Freddy waiting for them. Well done, superstar, Freddy said, and then spotted Sunny. Oh, hello, Sunrise. Hi, Freddy. Sun grinned. Been a while since we've seen you, isn't that right, Chi-Chi? Hi, Mr. Freddy, Chi-Chi greeted. Chi-Chi, how wonderful it is to see you, little superstar. Chi-Chi giggled. So, Freddy, I got the badge. Where do we go now? Gregory held up the security badge. Yes, while almost getting hurt, Sun scolded. Yeah, I'm fine, Gregory grumbled. I'm glad to hear that. I apologize, Sunrise, if he broke the rules. Glamrock Freddy bowed apologetically. Oh, it's fine. Mooney taught him a lesson. Sunny said proudly, and chuckled at something Moon said. Yeah, he sure scared the crap out of me, Gregory shuddered. I don't know how you live with them, Chichi. He turned to Chichi. Sun gasped. Language! They're very nice and sweet once you get to know them, Chichi reassured. Hmm, Gregory hummed. Now, where do we go? I'm helping Gregory to escape my friends. They have been tampered with. They keep trying to kill me, Gregory cried. Like Moon, Sun sighed and patted Gregory's head. There was a disc connected to Mooney's head, Chi-Chi said. Disc or no disc, they're creepy, Gregory shook his head. I guess Monty's a little scary, but Roxy and Chica are very nice, Chi-Chi insisted. Not with that disc in them, Sun thought. We'll just have to try to avoid them, Freddie decided. Or try to fix them, Chi-Chi said, a thought popping into her mind. That might be dangerous. Sun knelt down to Chi-Chi. I'm small. I can do it. Chi-Chi put her hands on her hips determinedly. We'll try, Sun promised. Okay, now, where do we go? Gregory said, fidgeting with the security badge. Well, there are two exits, one in the loading dock under the food court in the atrium, and one in the third floor prize counter. Let's try for the prize counter one. I don't like the undershaft of the Pizzaplex. It's dark, and I don't like the dark, Gregory whimpered. Me neither, Chi-Chi shivered. Sun hugged Chi-Chi. The prize counter tends to be pretty dark too at night, so Mooney can come out and lead you kids there, Sun said, picking up Chi-Chi. Come on then. Gregory climbed into Freddy's stomach hatch. They exited the daycare pickup through the airlock that led to the daycare, then climbed into they exited the daycare pickup through the airlock, then climbed into the elevator. Sun pressed the button as Gregory climbed out of Freddy. Hey, superstars, it's me, Freddy, a voice said in the elevator. Welcome to the Mega Pizzaplex. Grab a jumbo slice of pepperoni and top it off with an ice cold fizzy fizz, and enjoy our super games and attractions. Don't forget to stop by Rockstar Row and meet me in person. Have fun and have a featherific day. That was not me. That was a recording. I want to make sure you are not confused. Glamrock Freddy rubbed his arm, looking uncomfortable. Thank you for ensuring we're not confused, Freddy. Chi-Chi grinned. Moon and Gregory rolled their eyes at Freddy. The elevator stopped at the atrium. Then they stepped through the doors and almost immediately got jumped by a map bot. Hi, please take this map, the map bot said, holding out a map to Chi-Chi. Thank you, map bot. Chi-Chi smiled and grabbed the map. Creepy, Gregory muttered as he updated his Faz watch. Ooh, with the map. They walked out and saw the atrium. Wow, I didn't know this place was so big. Gregory stared in awe. Yep, the Pizzaplex is quite massive, which is why it's easy to get lost, said Ward. Stay close to us at all times. I know, Gregory grumbled. Yes, Sonny. Gigi smiled and received a hair ruffling at by Sun. At a kid, Sun smiled. Kiss up, Gregory grumbled. Sun let Chi-Chi down, and Chi-Chi walked up to the railing, looking around the atrium. To the right was Mazer's Highs and El Chips on the top, and Gator Golf and Kids Cove under that. On the left side was Fazzablast and Roxy Raceway. Behind them was the Fazcade. They walked up the escalator, because they were turned off for night, and made their way to the prize counter entrance. It was blocked off. Hmm. Sun looked around. It looks like the entrance to El Chips is open, Freddie pointed out. They headed over there, and the automatic doors flapped open, but only barely. I'm not going to fit through there. Sorry, kids, Freddie said, looking at the small gap. Don't worry, I can go with them, Sun said, slipping through the tiny gap between the flap and the floor. Come on, kids. Okay. Chichi crawled underneath the gap, and Gregory followed, saying nothing. Be safe, you two, and stay close to Sun, Freddie said, waving. We will, Chichi assured Freddie. Good luck. They looked around. It was a Mexican-style restaurant with a beaver as a mascot. Beaver? Beaver as a mascot. Chichi liked the food. They had yummy tacos and quesadillas and enchiladas. As long as they weren't too spicy, Chichi loved them. They're here, Sun said, pointing to the flap that led to the little hallway/eating area between El Chips and the arcade. This is a great spot to grab a bite to eat and play some games, Chichi pointed out. Good to know when we're not being killed, but we're not being chased by killer animatronics, Gregory smiled.
They're not killers. Chichi looked down at her shoes and scuffed them on the floor. Mm-hmm. Gregory sounded unconvinced. They entered the flap door thing that was at the entrance to the arcade from the side from this side, and Gigi stood still, eyes wide. It was dark, very dark. Suddenly sun stepped into the darkness and Gigi heard gears spin and looked to her right and saw Moon. Ready to get through here? Moon asked, holding out his arms for Gigi. Yeah, let's go, Gregory said, fidgeting in place. Gigi climbed into Mooney's arms and they started off. Well done, kids. Well done, kids and Sun/Moon. You are in the East Arcade. You should be able to get to the prize counter from the security office, Freddie explained. Look for the door with the security badge symbol on it. Got it. Thanks, Freddie, Gregory said, nodding. Thank you, Freddie, Chi squeaked and hugged onto Mooney. Shh, we don't know what's in there, Gregory hushed. Sorry, Chi whispered. We just have to dodge the security bots. We'll be fine, Moon assured. They started walking and avoiding the security bots. Hey kid, come on now. We're only trying to help, a familiar voice said. Roxy? Gigi asked. Shh, we can't let her find us. Gregory looked around nervously. They walked forward more cautiously, looking for Roxanne. They could hear her, but her voice did tend to carry. They made their way to the door Freddie had mentioned, and Moon jiggled the door handle. It's locked, Minnie said, thinking. Freddie, it's not opening, Gregory hissed to his watch. How unfortunate. Head past the Superstar arcade wall to the back of the arcade. There's a roll-up door at the very back that leads to the prize counter, Freddie said gently. Let's hope the wolf isn't there, Gregory sighed. Come on, kid. It'll be fine, Moon assured and put a hand on Gregory's back. Gregory flinched away and continued on. Moon sighed and followed. Suddenly there were running paw steps. They looked back, panic filling their eyes. As they saw Roxanne racing toward them, they bolted and made a loop. Then Moon spotted some strollers and put Chi-Chi into one, while Gregory quickly climbed into another. Moon, Roxy said, her paw steps slowing down. I thought I saw a runaway kid over here. Oh, no runaway kid. Moon waved the suggestion off like a fly. I did see a kid. Where's that little wolf pup? I wanted to say hi. Roxanne grinned. It didn't seem evil. Oh, Mooney tried to think. Chi wondered if Roxanne would hurt her if she just peeked out, so she decided it was worth trying. Plus, Roxy was so nice. She loved hanging out with the racer wolf. Hi, Roxy. Chi lifted up the flap to the stroller. Moon spun around, blue-eyed, horrified. Chi-Chi, no, Moon hissed. Oh, there's the little wolf pup. Roxy walked over and scooped Chi-Chi up and spun around. Haven't seen you in a while, kid. How you been? Good, Chi-Chi giggled. Beside Roxanne, Moon sighed with relief. What were you doing hiding in a stroller? You're too big for baby strollers. Aren't you a big kid? Roxanne nuzzled Chi with her muzzle. Yeah, I was playing hide and seek. I got a little too excited when I heard your voice, Chi said giggling, putting her tiny hands on Roxanne's muzzle. Yeah, of course you did. Who could resist their favorite face? Of course that's me, Roxanne said, grinning off an animatronic wolfy grin. Chi reached into the back of Roxanne's head and pulled out the disc. As easy as that. If they were all going to be this easy, this was going to be a breeze. Anyway, nice talking to you two. I have to. Roxanne stopped, then blinked a couple times. What was I doing? You were meeting my friend. Chi giggled and held up the disc, then pulled open Gregory's stroller too. Chi Gregory growled and looked up at Roxanne's eyes wide. Oh, hello, little pup. What's your name? Roxanne wagged her tail. I'm Gregory, Gregory said, still looking uncertain. Nice to meet you, Gregory. Now, you kids should be getting some sleep. It's pretty late. Roxanne waved goodbye and left to keep patrolling. Well, that was easy, Gigi grinned. Never do that again, Gregory and Moon both growled. She didn't hurt us, Gigi said, crossing her arms in a pout. Never again. Mooney sighed and patted Gigi on the head. God, I thought she was going to eat me. Gregory's brown eyes were wide, and he was shaking slightly. Problem solved, Gigi said cheerfully. Let's go cure the others. And off she went. Moon and Gregor glanced at each other, then started after her. That kid is going to get herself killed, or worse, Gregory muttered. She's got spirit, that's for sure. Moon laughed nervously. They arrived at the flap door and tried to open it. Stuck. Great, Gregory harrumphed, crossing his arms with a growl. Hey, look, a vent! Chichi pointed out and went to enter it. Wait, I can't fit through there, Mooney worried. Don't worry, Mooney, we'll be fine. Okay, I'll try to find another way. You kids stay safe. All right, Chichi said, climbing in. Hey, Gregory, come here for a minute. Just hold on, Starlight. Moon waved him over to himself. Gregory walked over, and Chi-Chi could hear Moon whispering something to Gregory about keeping her safe or something. She didn't know. She sighed impatiently, tapping the vent with her finger, making a little clang sound. All right, I'll go first, Gregory said, gesturing for Chi-Chi to get out of the vent. Why does it matter? Chi-Chi grumbled. She was starting to feel clammy, and she scratched her palm. Chi-Chi got out, and Gregory climbed in. Then Chi-Chi climbed back in. Stay, stay quiet, Gregory warned. Fine, Chi-Chi grumbled. They climbed through the vent, and barely made it a few inches into the vent when Chi-Chi heard a loud clang and turned around. Aw, it's a Chi-Chi cooed. Monster, run! Gregory grabbed Chi-Chi's hand and ran through the vent. Gregory, it's okay, it's a... Chi-Chi started. Shut up and run, Gregory growled. Chi-Chi shut her mouth. He clearly wasn't going to listen, so she wouldn't waste her words. They ran, well, crawled, very fast out of the vent and into a pile of boxes. Bye-bye, baby music man, Gigi whispered and waved as the tiny creature disappeared back into the vent. Where are we now? Gregory asked. The security office, Gigi said knowledgeably. A security badge should be inside. Sweet, an upgrade. Gregory ran into the office. Wait, Gregory, Gigi said, running after him into the office. When you grab a badge, it tends to... Too late. Gregory snatched up the badge. Emergency lockdown activated. This area is off limits to guests, a voice said over the intercom as a siren blared. Do that, Gigi whimpered and covered her ears. No, no, no. Freddie, I don't know what happened. All I did was take the badge. Do not panic. That office is now on lockdown. I can deactivate the alarm, but it will take some time, Freddie said reassuringly. Don't panic, Sunthoughts. I'll be there as soon as I can, Sun said, also through the Fazwatch. Good. I don't like the look or sound of lockdown. It's so loud, Gigi whimpered. Hang in there, kids, Sun assured. I know you're here, a thick southern voice growled. What do we do now? Gregor whimpered and slid to the floor, grabbing his head and starting to scratch his arm. Okay, don't panic. Do we get the disc off? Don't even think about it. All right, okay, we just use the doors, Gigi said, trying not to panic. Kids, a voice hissed. Son, Gigi cheered. No, it's me. Roxanne entered one of the doors. It's okay, it's only me. Roxy saw the terrified look on Gregory's face. He almost looked to the point of crying. Oh, Roxy. Gigi ran to Roxy and hugged her. Okay, it's only been a few minutes since we last saw each other, pup. Roxanne smiled and patted Gigi's head with a huge paw. I know, but I get excited every time I see you. Gigi grinned and hugged Roxy harder. Even though Roxanne was made mostly of metal, she was surprisingly a good hugger. Let's get you kids out of danger, then we can hug, Roxanne said. I will find you, Monty growled. You kids stay here, where he can't see you. I'll work the doors. Roxanne patted the floor next to a filing cabinet. Aw, but I want to help, Chi-Chi said. You can help by staying safe, Roxy said, smiling. Okay. Chi-Chi sat beside a very stressed out Gregory. He was still scratching his arm and slightly rocking and leaving red scratches on his arm. Chi-Chi lifted Gregory's hand and reached into her pocket and brought out a Sun and Moon Flame stress ball. Use this, Chi-Chi said, handing it to him. Oh, thank you. Where did you get this? Gregory asked, squeezing the stress ball. Sun got it for me after I started having panic attacks from the dark. Oh, Gregory sighed. Thank you. No problem. Gigi grinned and scratched her palm. Here, we can both use it, if you want. Gregory held out the stretch toy. Gigi poked it and smiled as the two kids played silently as Roxy worked the doors. All done. See? That was not so bad. If the path looks clear, head to the prize counter. My cat is going crazy right now, Freddie said through the Fazwatch. Suddenly there was a knocking at one of the doors. They turned, startled, and saw it was Sun. Sunny! Chi-Chi pressed the button to open the door. You going crazy! You're going crazy! Several little zoomies inside my room, which is not a very open space, so she's just running around like a crazy maniac. Sunny! Chi-Chi pressed the button to open the door and tackled Sunny. Whoa, fun spot, careful! Sun laughed and picked up Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi hugged tightly to Sun. Hey, Sunrise. Roxy clapped a paw on Sun's shoulder. How you been? Sun's rays turned slightly pink. Good, Miss Wolf. That's good to hear, Roxy grinned. Sun gave her a wobbly grin back. Then he shook his head and his rays retracted slightly. We need to get back to Freddy, Gregory said, standing up. Right. Come on, pups. Roxanne held her arms out for Gregory to jump into. Come on. Gregory started to run toward the door. Gregory, wait! Roxanne yelled, chasing after him. Gregory reached the door and was about to open it when Roxanne suddenly grabbed him from behind and lifted him up. He was surprisingly light for a kid his age. Let me go! Let me go! Gregory yelled, struggling. Hey, kid, it's okay, but Monty might be on the other side of that door. Let me check. Roxanne let Gregory down, and he walked over to Son. Roxanne opened the door and peeked inside. Hi, Monty. It's all clear. Yep. I've got it, tough guy. You just go back to patrolling the atrium. Roxanne turned and gestured for them to follow. Out of fear, Gregory grabbed Son's hand and hid behind him. You're okay, Sunbeam, Son soothed. Gregory took a deep breath and walked over to Roxanne. Roxanne offered the piggyback ride again, but Gregory shook his head and walked out of the door. Son holding Chi-Chi followed. Then Roxanne took the lead and they walked into the prize counter, and Chi-Chi giggled and hopped down from Son's arms. Sunbutt, come on. We have no time to look at plushies. Son smiled and scooped Chi-Chi up. They don't have you and Mooney anyway, Chi-Chi said sadly. What about a Roxanne plush, kid? Roxanne said. Ooh, Chi-Chi made grabby hands for the Roxanne plush. We can look at plushies later, all right? Son said gently. Aw, okay. Chi-Chi drooped a little and hugged Son. They walked into a hallway that led to a lookout above the main lobby. The exit is just this way, Sun said cheerfully, and turned a corner. They saw the exit door, and all of them let out a collective sigh. It was blocked off. You found the fire escape, Freddie said. Unfortunately, I do not think there is a way of getting to it without becoming a VIP. It is not a very good emergency system. You are lucky there is not a fire. I have logged a formal complaint. Freddie, the doors are all locked, Gregory said in a panicky voice. I can't get out of here, Gregory whimpered. Get to the elevator. Find a safe path on the Fazwatch. Gregory couldn't hear Freddie, his heart thrumming in his ears. He wasn't going to last another second at this rate. He crumpled to the ground and started to hyperventilate. Gregory, Son was beside him, rubbing his back. Breathe, hey, it's okay, deep breath. Gregory took a shaky breath. Good, again. Another shaky breath. Good. Gregory closed his eyes and just focused on breathing. Good, Sunbeam. Sun patted his back. Chi-Chi stood beside him. Do you need a hug? She asked. A hug would be nice, Gregory whimpered. Chi-Chi gently hugged Gregory, and his breathing slowly went back to normal. It's not the end of the world, kid. We'll find another way. Roxanne knelt down beside Gregory and patted him on the head. Thank you. Gregory wiped away the tears that were starting to gather in his eyes. I have panic attacks all the time. I know how you feel, Chi-Chi said, gently taking Gregory's hand. We can do this. Yeah, you're right. We can do this. Gregory nodded. Ready to go, kid? Or do you need a minute? Roxy asked gently. I think I'm good. Gregory stood up. All right, if you're sure, we can go. Son and Roxy led the kids back out of the prize counter into the elevator. See, kid, we're fine. Roxy ruffled Gregory's hair. Greggy smiled and tried to smooth it back down. Then pressed the button. Suddenly a mapbot appeared and tried to pry open the door. Free map! Free map! Move! A person pushed the mapbot out of the way. Gotcha! She grabbed Gregory's arm and pulled him out of the elevator. No! Roxanne lunged for Gregory, but he was pulled out of reach. Gregory! All three of them screamed, and the doors closed, and they walked helplessly as Gregory was picked up by the scared guard, kicking and screaming, and dragged away. Gregory! Chi-Chi screamed. Roxanne pounded on the door, snarling. Give him back! Sunbeam, hold on, we'll get you back, Sun yelled, holding his head against glass. We have to get out, Chi-Chi whimpered, looking around. The elevator was quite small, and with all three of them there wasn't much room. Chi-Chi started to breathe heavily. It was so warm and claustrophobic. Roxanne slammed on the door with her huge paws. How do we get out? Sun asked, panicked. We'll have to go down and around, Roxy said, pressing the button to go down. Okay. Sun looked down, finally noticing Chichi. Oh, hey, kid. Sun held her tight to his chest and she cried. Hey, we'll get him back. Too close, Chichi cried. Oh, stars, Sun said, patting Chichi's back gently. She's having a panic attack. Okay, Roxanne thought as the elevator slowly descended. She knelt in front of Chichi as Sun set her down. She curled in on herself, scratching furiously at her palm. Hey, pup, Roxy said gently. Chichi looked up, panic in her eyes. Hey, come here. Roxy held out a paw and Chichi looked at it. It's okay. I won't bite. Chichi took a few wobbly steps and collapsed into Roxanne's arms, who picked her up and rubbed her back. Shh, Roxy soothed. It's all right, kid. We'll be out of here before you know it. Chichi buried her head on Roxy's shoulder. Fluffy, Chichi murmured. Roxanne smiled. Yes, my shoulder is very fluffy. She patted Chichi's head. Finally, the elevator stopped and the doors opened to the main lobby. We'll get Gregory back, Roxanne promised. Chapter 5 Fanny. Gregory woke up, surrounded by clothes and other knickknacks. Where am I? Look at all this stuff. Gregory stood up and looked around. Then he looked down at his fast-watch. Sun? Moon? Roxanne? Chi-Chi? Freddie? Is anyone there? No response. Damn, Gregory cussed. No one's answering. Bet you're real clever. I'll bet you think you're real clever, Gregory. Yeah, I know your name. You're in big trouble. This is not the night to be wasting my time, the security lady said. So you are going to wait in Lost and Found until your parents or the police arrive. Gregory grabbed his head, panicked. He didn't have parents, and he really didn't want to go with the police. Suddenly the screen flashed to show a white rabbit costume. Are you having fun yet? It asked in a gravelly voice. Who are you? Gregory shouted. The rabbit didn't answer, and the screen went to static. Gregory looked around frantically for something that would get him out of the lost and found. Suddenly he saw a screwdriver on the floor. He grabbed it and crawled over the vent and under the screws. It crawled in. Are you having fun yet? The rabbit lady asked again. No, leave me alone, Gregory cried as he crawled through the vent. He crawled out the other side and realized he was in the main entrance lobby. Quickly getting his bearings, he ran to the elevator that led to the atrium, pressed the button to go down, to go up. Freddie, Son, Roxanne, are you there? Gregory. The static voice of Freddie came through the watch. Freddie, help, some rabbit lady is after me, Gregory said, panting. If you get this message, come to Roxy Raceway, Freddie instructed. The entrance is on the second floor. I piled up some boxes so you can hop over the construction fence and find me. Something is jamming my communication signal. Come to Roxy Raceway. Son, Roxanne, Chi-Chi, are you there? Gregory asked. I'm headed to Roxy Raceway. Meet you there. Meet me there. Gregory, static, you. The fuzzy voice of Roxy said. Crap, the communication signal is jammed on their end too, Gregory growled. The elevator opened, and Gregory started towards the Roxy Raceway at a sprint, and suddenly he skidded to a stop. There were security bots everywhere. Gregory ducked behind an advertisement screen and snuck by the bots. They raced over to the Roxy Raceway entrance by Fazer-Blast and slipped inside. Running over to the boxes Freddie had piled up, he climbed over them. He looked around and gasped when he saw Freddie collapse on the ground. Gregory climbed down and rushed over to him. Freddie, Gregory cried, are you okay? There is you are. I was so worried. Son and Roxanne called and said you got kidnapped by the security lady. Freddie was clearly having trouble speaking, glitching frantically. I'm okay, Gregory said nervously. I missed the hourly recharge. Hourly recharge? Every hour we're supposed to get to a charging station. I missed my chance. Let's get you to one now then. Gregory tried lifting up Freddie. I've been trying to get to Parts and service. I think something is wrong. What's wrong? Gregory asked worriedly. I am not sure. Is is there something is there anything I can do? Gregory asked, kneeling down to Freddie. Help me get to parts and service. Freddie's head jerked. Of course, I will. How do we get there? It's down under the main stage. Normally the lift takes us down after shows. Freddie paused. That is the only way I know how, he admitted. Okay, Gregory sighed. Take that door. It'll take you to the rehearsal room on the other side of the building. Look for a backstage pass and find a way to turn on the lift. Gregory nodded and quickly hugged Freddie. I won't let you down. Good luck, superstar. And entering rest mode, Freddie said, and his eyes closed. Gregory sprinted through the door, determined to find a way to save Freddie.
Chapter 6. Vent. Roxanne held a very tired Chichi in her arms, and Sun followed behind. Gregory! Roxanne called to the Fazwatch. Gregory, can you hear us? Nothing. Crap. Roxanne cursed under her breath. What do we do? Sun asked, looking panicked. Let me think, Roxanne said, holding out a paw. Roxanne handed Chichi to Sun, as she thought, and Sun looked down at the half-asleep kiddo. Hey, Sun's paw, you okay? Sun asked, trying to stay calm in front of Chichi. Sleepy, Chichi mumbled sleepily, and buried her head in the Sun's hold. Yeah, I know. We'll rest once we find Gregory. You just try to sleep for now, but we might be moving around a lot. Okay. Chichi closed her eyes and snuggled into Sun's hold. Sun looked over to Roxanne, who was frantically pacing, trying to think. How about we head to the atrium? Sun suggested. Roxanne stopped pacing and nodded, looking down at Chichi and smiling. Yeah, that's a good idea, Roxy said, and the two head to the elevator and press the button to go up. Raceway. There. The static voice of Gregory says, Gregory? Are you okay? Where are you? What did you say? The static is too bad to hear you. No response. Gregory! Roxanne shouts, Damn it! Roxanne slams her fist against the elevator wall. Chichi whimpers and snuggles deeper into Sun's hold. Roxanne, language! Sun chastises. Sorry, pup. I didn't mean to yell. Go back to sleep, Roxanne sighs. What do we do? Sun asked, adjusting his hold on Chichi so she was more comfortable. He said raceway, so I'm guessing he's heading to the raceway. I guess we'll just try to meet him there, Roxanne suggested, not sounding very sure. It's our best bet, Sun said, smiling determinedly. The elevator stopped and the two headed towards Roxy Raceway. Maybe we should call Freddie and tell him what's happening, Sun said as they walked. Roxanne nods and calls Freddie. Roxanne, are you okay? Is Gregory with you? Freddie asked worriedly, his voice static but still legible. No, he got kidnapped. He got kidnapped by Vanessa. He said he was heading to the raceway, so we're heading there now. Yes, he told me. I told him to come to Roxy Raceway. Something is wrong. I missed the hourly recharge. Yeah, I always thought that function was dumb, Roxanne growled. We're headed there now. Thank you, Freddie said. Okay. Roxanne stopped and paced around. So Gregory is lost, Freddie is hurt. For Henry's sake, this is all going to hell, Roxanne growled. Language. And yeah, it seems pretty bad. But we'll be okay. We're all headed to the same place. Sun tried to reassure Roxanne, placing a hand on her shoulder. Roxanne smiled at Sun and then continued to walk to Roxy Raceway. Roxanne smiled at Sun and then continued to walk to Roxy Raceway, up the escalator, and then headed through the flap door to the construction site to the spot that Freddie said to meet. They gasped when they saw Freddie on the ground. "Freddie!" Son gasped and handed Chichi to Roxy and climbed down, running over to Freddie. Roxy carefully climbed down, although it was difficult while holding a child. "He's in rest mode," Son said, as Roxanne made her way over to Freddie. "He looks in bad shape," Roxy said, kneeling to look at Freddie too. "Yeah," Son said, taking Chichi from Roxy. Roxy examined Freddie. "We need to get him to parts and services." "How?" "I think I'm strong enough to lift him up," Roxy said, and put her arm under Freddie, with a grunt lifting him up so he was leaning against her. "How are we going to get out of here?" Son asked, looking around for an exit. "I know a way." Roxy carrying Freddie, and Son carrying an asleep Chichi, made their way through the door that led to backstage, and slowly made their way down the hall. "Gregory, we're headed to parts and services. Meet us there," Son said into his communicator in his head. There was no response, but he hoped Gregory heard him. "My racing jacket, he's heavy," Roxy said, huffing. She set Freddie down against a wall for a minute to catch her breath. "You want me to try?" Son asked. "No offense, Son, but you're a twig," Roxy said, standing up and stretching. "Maybe Moon can? It's dark enough in here to turn," Son said, looking to the dark hallway they were about to go down. "He can try, I guess," Roxy sighed, and took Chichi from Son as he stepped into the dark. Moon shook himself like a wet dog shaking out a coat after his bath. "Looks like it's my time to shine," he grinned, then looked down at Chichi, who was sleeping peacefully. "I've got her. You just try to lift this lug," Roxanne gestured to Freddie. "All right, let's try this." Moon stooped down and lifted Freddie with some difficulty. "Wow, maybe you're not much of a twig," Roxanne joked. "Oh, hush," Moon huffed. "You gonna be able to walk with him leaning against you?" Roxanne asked, gently worried this time. "I should be able to." Moon took a couple steps in the direction of the hallway and nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." "Okay." Roxanne shrugged, and they started off again. They made their way past the security bots to the door through backstage to Rockstar Row. Suddenly there was a blaring of alarms, and Chichi yelped in Roxy's arms, sitting upright and covering her ears, cringing. "Gregory, what did you do? The communication signal, it's working again." "Roxy, I see Chica and Monty on the cameras. They're both coming to the office," Gregory whimpered, sounding panicky. "Don't let them in. The security doors should hold them. You just have to press the button for each door to zap them. If you see them banging on the door, hit the button by the door. It should stun them." "Okay, but how do I get out of here?" Gregory whimpered, sounding close to tears. "Shh, calm down, pup. Do you see the vent under you? I can get to that vent and force it open. Stay there. I'm on my way." Okay," Gregory whimpered. Moon set Freddie down and took Chichi from Roxy as she raced to the door that led to the vent. "Stay here. I'll be back with Gregory soon." "Are you sure?" Moon asked, but Roxy was already disappearing into the door. Moon sighed and sat down next to Freddie with Chichi in his arms. "Well, we just have to wait, Moon said, gently ruffling Chi-Chi's hair as the girl whimpered. "Okay," Chi-Chi said, nodding. Roxy raced to the vent as fast as she could. Her paws pounded against the metal floor. Once she got to the vent, she shouted for Gregory. "Gregory, pup, I'm here. Come here." "Roxy," Gregory said, and ran over to the vent. Roxy grunted as she forced it open and held out her arms for Gregory to jump into, which he did. "Oh, Roxy, it was horrible. That Rabbit lady was gonna get me," Gregory cried, burying his face into Roxy's shoulder. "Shh, pup. I've got you. Roxy said gently, patting Gregory's head and rubbing his back. Roxy made her way back to Rockstar Row. They saw Moon and Chi-Chi with Freddie sitting beside them and still in rest mode. "Freddie! Chi-Chi!" Gregory hopped down from Roxy's arms and ran over to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's face lit up as she saw Gregory, and she got up and ran to him, tears in her eyes. Gregory picked her up and spun her around, then hugged her tightly. "I thought I'd never see you again," Chi-Chi sobbed. "Shh, it's okay. I'm here," Gregory said, holding Chichi close, tears in his own eyes. Chapter 7. Freddy. The group headed to stage as they caught each other up on everything going on. That rabbit lady is creepy, Gregory shuddered, his hand holding Chi-Chi's as they walked. I don't remember there being a rabbit lady. We did once have a rabbit, though. His name was Bonnie. He disappeared one day. We don't know what happened to him. Most of us think he got scrapped, Sun said. Now that Moon had let Sun take over again, Roxy was carrying Freddy with a little help from Sun. I remember him, Chi-Chi nods, thinking. It was only a year after she came to the Pizzaplex that Bonnie disappeared. We need to be careful, Roxy warned. We don't know the intentions of this rabbit lady. We also need to avoid Vanessa if we can, because she's bad news. Vanessa? Gregory asked. The security lady that took you, Sun explained. She got hired about a year ago. I also think that's when the disappearances started. Then he stopped and looked down at Chi-Chi, who looked at him with big, round, scared eyes. No stars, Sun said, sighing. Disappearances? What disappearances? Chi-Chi asked. About a year ago, kids started disappearing from the Pizzaplex, Gregory said, looking at Chi-Chi sadly. A lot of my friends did. That's terrible, Chi-Chi gasped and hugged Gregory. Yeah, that's kind of the reason I came here to begin with, Gregory sighed. Wait, I thought you got trapped overnight, Chi-Chi asked. Gregory cursed under his breath for the slip-up. Right, I came here and then got trapped overnight, Gregory said quickly. In any case, I bet Vanessa has something to do with it. She seems suspicious. Vanessa is really nice, though, Chi-Chi said. Yeah, maybe, Sun said, looking away. He clearly knew more than what he was going on, Gregory thought. He'd press him for answers when Chi-Chi wasn't 2 inches away and could hear their conversation. What do we do now? Chi-Chi asked. We're headed to the stage so we can go to parts and services, Roxy said as they walked. So we can fix Freddy? Chi-Chi asked. Hopefully, Roxy nodded and gestured for Sun to put Freddy down so they can take a breather. Their progress was slow because Moon wasn't active, but they made do. Gregory and Chi-Chi sat down while they rested. What's even wrong with him? Gregory asked. He said he missed his hourly recharge cycle, Roxy said, stretching. What exactly does that do? Gregory asked as Chi-Chi absentmindedly played with Gregory's hand. It helps us stay up to date. You know, updates and stuff. But these discs are clearly messing with our systems. I wonder if Freddy has one. Roxy kneeled down and examined Freddy, then shook her head. Is he gonna be okay? Chi-Chi asked, looking up. He'll be fine, pup, Roxy said, ruffling Chi-Chi's hair with a paw. Chi-Chi giggles. They start walking again once Roxy and Sun have had a short break and are ready to start walking again. They made it to the main lobby before they have to take a rest again. Gregory making sure Chi-Chi is entertained. Stars, this is slow going, Sun sighs. It's not dark enough for Moon to come out, Roxy nods, looking up. I wish it were. He's a lot stronger than me, Sun sighs and bends over to check on Chi-Chi. You okay, Sunspot? Not getting too tired, are you? No, I'm good, Chi-Chi smiles at Sun. That's good. I can carry you if you are, Gregory said, ruffling Chi-Chi's hair. Chi-Chi giggles and shakes her head, making her bangs flop in her face. She annoyedly blows them out of her face. I'm good. Alright, if you're sure, Gregory smiles. Chi-Chi hugged Gregory, and Gregory ruffled Chi-Chi's hair again. They start walking again, making their way to the elevator, and Gregory pressed the button to go up. Roxy and Sun rested while the elevator took them to the atrium. So what are we gonna do once we get to parts and services? Chi-Chi asked. Well, hopefully we can find out what's wrong with Freddy's systems and fix it, Roxy said, leaning against the wall. Sun nodded, breathing heavily. Stars. For not being able to breathe, I'm sure out of breath, Sun joked. You're just not used to lifting heavy things, Roxy said, patting Sun on the back. He smiled appreciatively at her. The elevator stopped, and then they stepped out and slowly made their way down the escalator. Roxy suddenly sniffed the air. Monty and Chica are here, she said. Crap, Gregory growled. Language, Sun said, and then sighed. I think we'll be okay. We just have to make our way to the stage, then go down to the parts and services. One problem is that we can't lower the lift without running the show program, and we don't have the disc that runs that. Gregory suddenly gasped and pulled out a disc from his pocket. You mean this? Roxy nodded. Yes, that's the one. How did you get that? I got it with the security badge. I didn't know what it was, but I kept it just in case we needed it. I had a pup. Roxy used one hand to ruffle Gregory's hair while still holding Freddie up with the other. Now we just have to run it at the sound booth on the 3rd floor. Roxy pointed upward. Okay, Gregory said and started off. Wait for me, Chichi said, running after Gregory. No, you stay here. Gregory turned around. But I want to come too, Chichi whimpered. Please. No, it's too dangerous, Gregory insisted. I'll be careful, I promise, Chichi said. Gregory sighed. They were running out of time. Fine, just do what I say and stay close to me. Okay. The 2 kids snuck past the security bots and stopped when Monty was above them on a spotlight. I know you're there, the southern gator growled. Shh, stay close to me now. Come on, Gregory whispered, and the 2 kids snuck past the gator and spotlight. Okay, quickly, this way. The 2 kids ran for a while, then stopped. Roxy said the booth is on the 3rd floor, Gregory said, and they made their way up to the Muppet elevator. Okay, Chichi nodded as they made their way up. They ran and dodged the security bots, making their way to the 3rd floor. Our friendly security staff can help. A sweet chirp came from the sound booth direction. Okay, we'll have to sneak past Chica. Okay, Chichi whimpered. They crouched and snuck their way to the sound booth. They were halfway there when a squawk came from behind. They turned around with panic on their faces as Chica had spotted them. Gregory grabbed Chi-Chi's hand and ran to the sound booth, then ran inside and ducked behind the wall, crouching down so Chica couldn't see them. She covered her mouth, trying to breathe quietly, even though her heart was going a million miles a second. Chi-Chi squeezed her eyes shut as the pounding of footsteps got closer and closer, and then stopped. They could hear Chica breathing just beyond the wall. All she had to do was turn her corner, and they'd be caught. Chi-Chi and Gregory held their breaths. Staff only, Chica said as she walked away. Chica and Gregory let out their breath, panting from exertion. We just have to be really careful, Gregory whispered to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi just nodded as Gregory crept over to the sound booth and placed the disc inside. Music started playing, and giant holograms of the main 4 animatronics danced on the stage beneath them. Beneath them, where Roxy's son and Freddie waited. Let's get back to the stage, Gregory whispered, and they headed toward the escalator, avoiding the security bots and Chica. They ran down to the main floor and crept past the spotlight, noticing Monty was gone. Where'd he go? Chi-Chi whispered. I don't know. Stay close, Gregory said, ducking behind the photo booths as the security bot came closer. Chi-Chi nodded, and they snuck past the photo booths and were almost to the main stage when they saw Monty patrolling in the front of the stage. Crap, Gregory hissed under his breath. What do we do? Chi-Chi asked, her eyes wide. I'll distract him while you run, Gregory said, starting to step out behind the booth. Oh, let me do it. Roxy was nice to me. Maybe he will be too, Chi-Chi said, grabbing Gregory's arm. Chi-Chi, I'm not risking your life on a maybe, Gregory said, looking at Chi-Chi intently. Please, Gregory, get to the stage. I can do this. Okay, but if he shows any signs of aggression, you get out of there immediately, Gregory said, sighing and nodding. Okay, Chi-Chi smiled. Gregory hugged Chi-Chi, and Chi-Chi walked from behind the photo booth casually. Monty immediately spun around, snarling as he heard footsteps. Chi-Chi yelped and fell backwards. Oh, Rockstar. Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you, Monty said in his thick southern accent. It's okay, Chi-Chi said, trying not to look to where Gregory was. What are you doing out of the daycare so late? Monty said, walking toward Chi-Chi. I went on a late night stroll and got lost, Chi-Chi said, shrugging. The sun and moon know you're out this late? No, Chi-Chi lied. Well, Rockstar, we should get you back to the daycare before the security lady catches you out here. You know, street's pretty strict when it comes to kids being out after dark. Monty scooped Chi-Chi up. Okay, Chi-Chi smiled and hugged Monty's neck. Monty starts toward the elevator to the main lobby as Chi-Chi fumbles and tries to reach in the back of Monty's head and unclip the disc. Almost, Chi-Chi thought. She reached out and grabbed it. Monty stopped. His head jerked, his eyes turning purple. Suddenly he snarled, grabbing Chi-Chi by the shirt. Chi-Chi screamed as she was wrenched from her hold on Monty's neck, his claws slashing into her back. Chi-Chi! Gregory shouted and ran toward them. Roxanne and Son also ran off the stage to Monty and Chi-Chi. Get off of her! Roxanne snarled and lunged for Monty, tackling him to the ground. Son quickly grabbed Chi-Chi from Monty's hold and quickly examined Chi-Chi's wounds. You need to calm down, Gator, Roxanne said, holding down and thrashing Monty. He snarled and snapped his jaws like a real alligator, almost too animal-like for a regular animatronic. He has a disc, Chi-Chi whimpered, out as Son wrapped her wounds with some emergency gauze he kept in his stomach compartment. Gregory, pull it out. I can't hold him much longer, Roxy said, struggling to hold down the frantically thrashing Gator. Gregory obeyed, hopping on Monty's back and reaching to the back of his head and unclipped the disc. Monty immediately went limp under Roxanne. Roxanne sighed and stood up. Roxanne and Son carried Monty onto the stage too, as he was still passed out. Then they pressed the button and lowered the stage. Suddenly the light turned off. Chi-Chi yelped, and Gregory gasped. Moon took over and turned on his glow effect on his stars, so there was at least a little light, combined with Roxy's eyes, putting the kids at ease. The lift stopped, and Roxy carried Monty, while Moon carried Freddie to parts and service. They made their way inside, and put Freddie on the chair in the repair cylinder. Do you know how to do this? Roxy asked Moon, who nodded. I've messed around with electronics before. Step back. Moon took control and examined Freddie, while the two kids sat down on the swivel chairs. Chi-Chi gleefully spun around. Monty woke up before Son was done fixing Freddie. Ugh, my head, Monty groaned and rubbed his head with a claw. Hey, big guy, you're finally awake, Roxy said, turning toward Monty. Now what the hell was that? Attacking Chi-Chi like that? You could have seriously hurt her. I attacked Chi-Chi? Monty said, sounding horrified. I would never. That rock star is my best customer. It's okay, Monty. I forgive you, Chi-Chi said, still spinning. Monty turned to Chi-Chi and saw the bandages on her neck. Great golf clubs, I did that, Monty asked, his eyes wide. It's okay, Monty. It only hurts a little, Chi-Chi then winced. Monty walked over a little wobbly and hugged Chi-Chi, who flinched, then hugged him back. I'm extremely sorry, Rockstar, Monty said, hugging Chi-Chi tightly. It's not in my program to hurt a kid, especially not a pipsqueak like you. Something must have messed with my systems. Yeah, we found a disc on you, Moon said, while still working on Freddie. A disc? Monty asked. Moon stopped and held up one of the smooth, round black discs. I've never seen something like it. It must have somehow hacked us, Moon said, returning to fixing Freddie. I bet Chica has one too, Chi-Chi said, standing up. We have to. She lifted her arms in the air and yelped in pain, whimpering. You need to rest, Roxy said, coming over to Chi-Chi and patting her on the head. You look exhausted. Yeah, I can handle it, Gregory said confidently. You too, Starlight, Moon said, finishing working on Freddie and stretching. What? No, I don't want to rest. I have tons of energy. Gregory pumped his arms in the air, then immediately yawned loudly. Tons of energy. Moon walked up to the group. Freddie should wake up from charging in about an hour. Until then, you kids take a rest. You earned it. Aw, but Chi-Chi started to say. No buts. You two rest. Let us take care of things for now, okay? Moon said, patting her head. Grown-ups always get to have all the fun. Chi-Chi pouted, then rubbed her eyes, yawning. Come on, sleepyhead. I'll set up a temporary sleep area. Moon guided the kids over to corner of parts and services and brought out a blanket from his stomach compartment, laying it on the floor for the kids to lie on. Chi-Chi immediately curled up on it. Gregory reluctantly followed, and Chi-Chi laid her head on Gregory's shoulder. The two of them looked as comfortable as if they were siblings, having been together for years, despite them having only known each other for a couple hours. Chi-Chi quickly fell asleep while Gregory watched the animatronics talk about a plan, while Freddie charged in the cylinder. As he listened to the grown-ups talking, his eyes slowly dropped closed, and soon Gregory was asleep as well.
Check-rate. Home. Moon woke them up a little after 4. Hey, Starlight, time to go, Moon said, gently kneeling down to them and petting their heads.
5 more minutes, Chi-Chi mumbles and snuggles deeper into Gregory's hold.
Moon chuckles softly. Gregory blinks his eyes open, then sits up, gently shaking Chichi. Come on, Chichi. Moon says it's time to go. Chichi grumbles grumpily. It's time to go rescue Chica. Chichi immediately opens her eyes and sits up, rubbing her eyes, yawning. There you go. I knew that would wake you up. Gregory ruffles Chichi's hair. Chichi giggles and stood up. It's time to go save Chica. She pumped her arms in the air, wincing a little from the wounds on her back. Yup, Moon laughed. Gregory and Chichi stood up, smiling. Then Gregory saw Freddy and ran over to him, hugging him tightly. Freddy, you're okay. Freddy looked a little startled. Then when he saw Gregory, he picked him up and hugged him. Oh, Superstar, I'm so glad you are okay, Freddy said, hugging Gregory as Gregory cried happy tears. Chichi smiled and went over to Moon, who picked her up. Roxy and Monty just smiled at Freddy and Gregory's happy reunion. Roxy and Moon have said you have been busy saving Monty, it looks like, Freddy said, smiling at Monty. Yep, the pipsqueaks removed a disc I had in my head. It cleared my mind right out, though I hurt Chichi in the process. Monty looked a little sad at that part. I'm okay, Monty, Chichi said, smiling. I'm glad to hear that, Rockstar. Monty smiled back and ruffled Chi-Chi's hair. Chi-Chi smiled wider and giggled. Gregory just remembered something. Hey, Moon, can I talk to you for a minute? Gregory said, hopping down from Freddy's arms. Moon nodded and handed Chi-Chi to Monty, who sat down near Roxy and Freddy. Gregory and Moon left the parts and services for a minute to talk. So, what's up, Starlight? Moon asked. I know you know more about the disappearances, Gregory accused. Moon looked startled, then slowly sighed and nodded. What do you know? Gregory asked, pointing a finger at Moon. Moon sighed again and hugged himself. When I was under the virus, I hurt a lot of kids. In fact, some of them Moon's eyes closed and he held his hands to his face. I killed them. Gregory's eyes went wide, and he stepped back, looking afraid. You what? Gregory asked in horror. I didn't mean to. I was under that awful virus. Moon tried to defend himself. Gregory looked down, tears forming in his eyes. Then suddenly he ran out of parts and services. Gregory! Moon shouted, reaching out to him. Let him go, Moony. He'll be back, Sun said in Moon's head. Moon broke down then. It was one of the few times Sun had ever seen him cry. Moony? Chi-Chi said behind him. Moon looked back, startled, and saw Chi-Chi looking at him, eyes wide. Oh, Starlight, I didn't hear you. Are you okay? Chi-Chi nods and hugs Moony. Are you crying? Chi-Chi asked, looking up at Moon. Oh, no, I just got some dust in my eyes is all. Oh, Chi-Chi still hugged Moon. It's okay to be sad. I know, Starlight. Moon patted Chi-Chi on the head and wiped the tears out of his eyes, then went back into parts and services. Where is Gregory? Freddy asked. Moon sighed. He ran off. He ran off? Freddy asked. He quickly ran out of parts and services to go find Gregory. Moon looked down. Hey, Moon, are you okay? Roxy asked, coming over to stand beside him. Yeah, He asked some things about the disappearances. Moon looked up at Roxy. Oh, Roxy knew immediately what he meant. Monty came over and clapped a hand on Moon's back. He'll get over it, he reassured, a little oblivious to what they were talking about, but still wanting to offer comfort. I really hope so. Moon sighed. Chi-Chi was still hugging onto Moony, her face buried in his pant leg. Moon smiled sadly and patted her on the head again, gently putting her arms out for her to climb into. Chi-Chi smiled and put her arms up for Moony to pick her up. He smiled and scooped her up into his arms and held her close. Gregory ran out of parts and services, tears streaming down his face. His vision was blurry from the tears and immense fear he felt. He just ran. Suddenly he realized it was really dark. He skidded to a stop, tripping over his shoes, and fell hard onto the floor, yelping in pain. He winced as he sat up and looked around in the dark. Gregory swallowed the whimper that threatened to escape his lips. Gregory stood up, wincing as he put weight on his leg. Crap, Gregory whispered as he leaned against the wall. He looked around and saw a flashlight on the ground. Picking it up, he flicked the switch to it on. It wasn't super bright and was sputtering pretty bad, as if it was about to turn off at any moment. Gregory shined the flashlight around the place. It looked like a storage area. Gregory limped forward, wincing at the pain in his leg. He shone the flashlight down the dark hallway. Suddenly the light spluttered out, and he was plunged into darkness. Gregory yelped with fright and stepped backwards, tripping over something and falling onto his back. He looked around in the dark. He looked around in fear, the darkness surrounding him on all sides. He started to breathe heavily, his eyes stretched wide with fear. "Gregory!" Freddie called out. "Freddie?" Gregory whimpered out in a meek voice. "Oh, there you are, Superstar. What happened? Moon said you ran off." Freddie kneeled down to be at Gregory's level. I got scared of Moon," Gregory whimpered, trying to wipe the tears out of his eyes. "He killed my friends." "Killed your friends?" Freddie looked shocked. "Mm-hmm," Gregory mumbled. Freddie held out a paw. "Come on, let's get back to the others. We're gonna go find Chica, and then you get you kids something to eat." Okay." Gregory nodded and took Freddie's paw, who scooped him up and carried Gregory in his arms instead of in his stomach compartment. They walked back to Parts and Services. When they got inside, Moon was talking to Roxanne, and Monty was talking to Chichi. They all looked up when they heard paw steps. "Hey, pup," Roxanne walked over and patted Gregory on the head. Gregory flinched, and Roxanne frowned. "You okay, little racer?" Roxy asked, concerned. "Yeah, just, Gregory looked around. "He's just a little scared," Freddie finished for him. "Scared? Scared of what?" "Scared? Scared of what?" Monty said, coming over to stand beside Roxy. "Scared of, Freddie mumbled. "Scared of me," Moon blurted out, then looked up at his slippers and crossed his arms. "Moony, why would Gregory be scared of you?" Chi-Chi asked. Gregory mumbled. "Well, Monty struggled for words. "See, kid, he just—" Roxy cleared her throat. "Let's not worry about it right now," Freddie said, smiling down on all the animatronics, and Gregory nodded. Chi-Chi looked down at her shoes. They were hiding something from her again. Of course they were. She was too young to understand, or something stupid like that. Chi-Chi sighed and silently nodded. "Anyway, let's go save Chica," Gregory said, hopping down from Freddie's arms and limping over to Chi-Chi. "Superstar, why are you limping?" Freddie asked, looking at him with concern. "I tripped and fell, but I'm fine." Gregory waved it off. "Here, sit down for a minute, kid," Moon said, and walked towards Gregory. Gregory shrank back, and Moon stopped, then nodded, as if understanding something Gregory was trying to tell him. Here, Freddie, scan Gregory's leg with this." Moon took out a portable X-ray screen out of his stomach compartment and handed it to Freddie. "Hold still, Superstar," Freddie said gently, then scanned Gregory's leg. He was limping on. "Scanning. Scanning," a robot voice said it, and then a moment later, "Scan complete." "Let's see here." Moon took the X-ray back. There's the problem. Yeah, Gregory twisted his ankle. "He what?" Freddie roared. Chi-Chi and Gregory flinched at the noise, and Freddie spoke quieter. "He has a sprained ankle," Moon said slowly. "I heard you the first time. Superstar, how did you twist your ankle?" Freddie turned to Gregory. "I must have fallen wrong or something, but I'm fine," Gregory insisted. "You can't walk on a sprained ankle," Freddie sighed. "Come on, up you come." Freddie picked up Gregory and patted his head. "Freddie, I'm fine," Gregory grumped. "And I'm telling you no walking," Freddie said gently but sternly. "Fine." Gregory crossed his arms and pouted. "Good." Freddie smiled, satisfied. "So, what's the plan?" Gregory asked, still crossing his arms as his eyes scanned the animatronics in front of him. "Yeah, what's the plan?" Chi-Chi asked, looking at Mooney. "The plan is we go to the atrium and try to find Chica. Our best bet is in the kitchens," Monty explained. "Right, she does like to eat," Chi-Chi nodded. "We can make a pizza as a peace offering. Chica loves pizza," Freddie said. "Can any of you cook?" Roxy asked. "Sonny can." Chi-Chi smiled widely. "He makes the best cupcakes." "Yeah, aw, Chi-Chi, my little helper." Son grinned in Moon's head.
Yeah, he can cook. Moon smiled and nodded, then spotted Gregory frowning at him and turned his look to more of a concentration. "Well, he did make a really good bowl of ice cream when I got to the daycare," Gregory shrugged. "Then let's go!" Chi-Chi cheered, throwing her arms in the air, then winced. "Come on, Rockstar." Monty walked over to Chi-Chi and picked her up and put her on his shoulders. Chi-Chi giggles and gently kicks her legs and hugs around Monty's neck to hang on. Well, let's go then, Roxy laughed. They walked through Roxanne's door in parts and service and exited into Roxy's break room. Chichi giggles and wiggles out of Monty's hold and grabs one of the Roxy plushies and gave it a tight squeeze, giggling as it squeaked. Come on, Come on, Rockstar. Monty chuckled and picked up Chichi again. Okay, Monty. Chichi smiled, wrapping her arms around Monty's neck and snuggling in close. Monty chuckled and patted Chichi on the head as the group started walking toward the atrium. Moon looked over fondly at Chi-Chi, then looked down at his hands and closed his eyes for a minute, forcing him not to start shaking. He knew Gregory was going to tell Chi-Chi eventually, and then Chi-Chi would hate him. He couldn't bear that. He walked over to Monty. Hey, hi, Moony. Chi-Chi squeezed her Roxy plush. Hey, Moon, Monty said, nodding to Moondrop. They made their way through Rockstar Row to the entrance lobby. Where do we go now? Uh, where do we go now? Gregory asked. I know a shortcut to the kitchen, Roxy said, winking. They made their way to the atrium elevator, and they all crammed into the elevator. Crammed in. Moon kept to the back wall away from Gregory, Chi-Chi, and Freddie. Monty put Chi-Chi down and told Freddie to watch him. Then he and Roxy came over to Moon. What's wrong? Roxy asked. Nothing, Mooney mumbled. Oh crap, Monty hissed under his breath so Chi-Chi couldn't hear. Monty's right. We know something's wrong, Roxy said, looking at Moon intently. I just, Moon sighed. I know Gregory's gonna tell Chi-Chi about what I did. And he started to shake, despite his best efforts not to. He closed his eyes to force back tears. Chi-Chi will find out one way or another. You can't hide that kind of stuff from her, Roxy said gently, placing a paw on Moon's shoulder. She's just a kid. Moon looked up, tears in his eyes. She may be a kid, but she's one to a cookie. Monty crossed his arms and looked over at Chi-Chi and Gregory, laughing. He smiled. Yeah, she is, but can she handle this truth? That pup has a lot of spirit. She can handle anything. Mooney looked at the kids, seeing Chi-Chi make a face at Gregory as he ruffled her hair like a big brother. Yeah, she's learned something. Moon sighed and smiled. You know she loved you two. You know she loved you two dorks, Monty said offhandedly. Can't imagine why, he teased. Moon smiles soft Moon's smile softened, and he looked at Chi-Chi, tears in his eyes. Just then Chi-Chi looked over and he quickly wiped the tears away and softly waved. Chi-Chi came over, well walked like 3 steps, as the elevator wasn't that big, and hugged Mooney. Love you, Starlight, Mooney said, softly hugging Chi-Chi back. I love you too, Mooney, and Sunny too, Chi-Chi squealed. Mooney picked Chi-Chi up and held her close. Chi-Chi snuggled deep into Moon's hold, hugging his neck. Just then the elevator dinged, meaning they had arrived at the atrium. Chi-Chi wiggled out of Moon's grasp and ran to the railing, staring around, beaming. This was her home. She knew that now. Not just temporary until they found their parents. A real, true home. Chapter 9. Chica. They made their way down the escalator into the food stall on the bottom floor by the main stage and went through the door to the somewhat rickety elevator. They all got in, and Freddie pressed the button, and the elevator started to descend. Moon sighed and crossed his arms, leaning against the wall. Chi-Chi mimicked him, giving a squeaky sigh, then tried to lean against the wall, but lost her balance. Moon had to catch her. All the animatronics laughed, but Gregory just glared at Moon, then swallowed and let go of Chi-Chi as she caught her balance. Then she looked up at Mooney, hopefully making grabby hands. Go talk to your friend, Starlight, Mooney said, gently patting Chi-Chi on the head. Chi-Chi tilted her head and looked over at Gregory, who gave her an encouraging wave. Chi-Chi turned back to Moon. He had never rejected her request to be picked up before. She grabbed onto Mooney's leg and buried her face in his pants leg. Come on, kid. Go with your friend. Mooney actually picked her up and put her back down about 3 inches from him, making the shooing motion. Chi-Chi looked at Mooney, heartbroken. and walked over to Freddie and Gregory's open arms, and leaned against him, burying her face in his shoulder. Gregory gently put his arms around her, giving her a hug, and glared at Moon. Again, Chi-Chi didn't see this, of course. Her head was buried in Gregory's shoulder. She clung to Gregory tightly, forcing back tears. Moon, are you? Sun asked in Moon's head, but was interrupted by the elevator stopping. I'm fine, Mooney said, stepping out of the elevator first and making a bit of distance between him and the other. Come on, this way. Roxy motioned toward the left hallway. The group started off with Moon lagging behind, silently looking at his slippers. You wanted me to take over, Moon? You look exhausted, Sun asked. Yeah, that would be nice. Moon nodded and let Sun take over. Sun caught up to the others and scooped Chi-Chi up. Chi-Chi flinched and turned back to see Sun. Sunny! Chi-Chi cheered and hugged onto Sunny. Hi, Sunspot. Sun smiled at Chi-Chi's head. Good to see you, Sun. Monty. Good to see you, Sun. Monty said, clapping a claw on Sun's shoulder. I don't know why Moon is sulking. He rejected my hug, Chi-Chi whimpered. Yeah, he can be like that sometimes. He's just tired, Sun said, still smiling. Oh, okay. Gigi looked away and wiggled out of Sun's grasp and caught up to Freddie and Gregory on his shoulders. Oh, poor Sunspot, Sun said, reaching out and retracting his hand. Come on, she's all right. You just upset her, Auntie said, putting an arm around Sun. Oh, Moon said in Sun's head, sounding regretful. It's okay. She'll forgive him. She always does. Geez, you're always smiling no matter what, eh, Sun? Roxy joked and laughed. Yep, always happy, never sad. Sun grinned. That don't sound healthy. Auntie frowned. It's a lifestyle, my dear gator friend, Sun said, spinning around and booping Monty on the snout. Monty looked surprised and rubbed his snout, looking a little annoyed. A lifestyle or not, it's not healthy keeping your emotions locked away, Roxy said, looking worried. The only emotion I'm programmed to feel is happiness and being cheerful. Fun with the kids, Sun said, nodding. Yeah, okay, I know that ain't true. I seen you cry, Monty said, turning Sun to face him. Just like over Moon when he first got that doggone virus. You know he was the first to start acting strange. You didn't let Chi-Chi see, but I saw you. You were having a when we were having a meeting with the owners. You were crying, Monty snarled. Suddenly Sun's smile dropped and he knocked away. Yeah, okay, maybe you're right, Sun sighed. But I'm really okay, guys. What is it with you and Moon saying you're alright when you're clearly hurting? Monty snarled. Shh, Sun hissed, looking over at Chi-Chi and Gregory. Let the kid know you're hurting. It'll only hurt her more to know you're lying about something and not telling her. Monty sighed and took his sunglasses off and looked Sun directly in the eyes. Sun stared at him for a moment, then nodded and looked away. Hey, you slowpoke coming? Gregory called. They realized they had gained quite a distance from the others, and they hurried to keep up, then, then entered through the doors to the kitchen. Now what do we do? Gigi asked, tilting her head. Then we make pizza, Sun said. Yay, pizza! Sun showed the group how to roll out the pre-made dough. Then you put sauce on like this. Usually the kitchen staff must put it on with the machine, but I like making it myself, Sun said, smiling while spreading the sauce. It's the easiest way, Auntie said, shrugging. It also tastes better when it's made by hand, Sun said, flexing his fingers. Whatever, Moon said. Auntie said grumpily. Pizza's pizza. I don't care how it's made. I'll eat it. I don't really like pizza. It's all meaty, Roxanne said with a little shudder. You're a wolf for fast sake, Monty turned to Roxanne. Okay, okay. I don't mind eating some animal flesh. It just doesn't appeal to me, Roxanne said, throwing her hands up. But if you want to eat me, I won't judge you. Ahem. Sun cleared his throat and looked at the bickering bear. Sorry, sorry, continue, Roxy said, smiling at Sun. Send her back to the pizza. Then you add cheese. Parmesan tends to work best. Other cheeses get very greasy, and the meat is already quite greasy, so let's avoid that. Sun sprinkled some cheese over the pizza. Then, Sun said, grabbing a bowl of pepperoni, we add the meat. I like to add pepperoni because that's what most kids will eat. And lucky for us, Jacob loves a good three-meat pizza. It's honestly her comfort food, Sun said, rambling a little. How do you know that? Monty asked suspiciously. I know all your favorite foods. It kind of helps when you're around picky kids all day, so you kind of take into account everyone's favorite meals. Fun said, Son explained, shrugging. What's mine? Monty challenged. You like yourself some good old barbecue ribs, but when you can get away with it on break, you tend to drink beer with it, Son said. What's mine? Roxy said, slamming her paw on the counter and wagging her tail. You pretend to like salad because it's healthy, but what your guilty pleasure is a nice fruit parfait. Okay, that's creepy, Roxy said, swallowing. Wait, I thought you loved salad. Freddie said, shocked. I do. I love having salad with you, Freddie, Roxy said sheepishly. But not the salad part. Freddie crossed his arms. Not really, but I really do love hanging out with you, Roxy grinned. Good to know. Freddie nodded. You also really like macaroons, Son added. What's mine? Freddie asked. You're a bit tricky, but I'd have to say a nice ice cream sundae from Bonnie Bowl, Son had said, grinning. Oh, Freddie looked away, ears drooping. Did, did I get it wrong? Son asked, looking worried. I'm sorry if I offended you. I really didn't mean to. Son looked at Freddie sadly. No, Sunrise, you did not offend me. It is just I have not seen Bonnie in a long time, and I miss him. That's why I do not go up there anymore. Oh, Sun's rays drooped in sadness. I'm sorry. Let's finish this pizza, Roxy said suddenly. Oh, right, of course, Sun smiled. Now, we add the meat, pepperoni, some sausage, and a little bit of ground beef. Sun sprinkled all the meat on. Now what? Gregory asked. Now we pop it in the oven to cook, Sun said, smiling, carefully putting it in the oven. They waited for the pizza to cook, and suddenly the doors burst open. I smell pizza, Chica said in her sweet, chirpy voice. Yes, Chica, we're making it just for you. Oh, how sweet, Chica said, clasping her hands. We made it with extra meat, just how you like it, Chi-Chi said. Oh, hello, little hatchling. Chica rounded the corner. What are you all doing here so late? Chica asked. We spontaneously just decided to make pizza, Roxy said nervously. Oh, you guys are the best. Chica smiled. Gregory hid under the table. Hey, Chica, can I look at something? Monty said, coming over to the cheerful chicken. Oh, whatever for? Chica chirped sweetly. Just need to look at the back of your head real quick is all, Monty said, stepping behind Chica. Oh, of course. You and Moon always check up on me. It's so sweet of you, Cupcakes. Chica smiled. Yep, just checking up on you. Tell me if this hurts. Monty suddenly pulled the disc out of Chica's head. Ouch! Chica winced. Ugh. What was that? Chica slurred. You feeling all right, Feathers? Monty asked, catching Chica as she stumbled forward. Yeah, I guess. But why does my head feel funny? Chica cried, clutching her head and trying to regain control of her surroundings. Maybe it's just a headache, Chi-Chi suggested. Why don't you eat something? You're probably hungry. Chica gagged and covered her mouth, running over to the garbage bin. She retched up all the garbage she had eaten. Whoa, steady. Roxy came over and gently rubbed Chica's back. Ugh, when did I eat garbage? No wonder I feel sick. Chica mumbled, wiping the slime off her mouth. We should get you back to your break room. We can eat later. Chica retched up more slime. Okay, no mention of food until you feel better. Come on, Chica. Chi-Chi gently took Chica's hand, and the group led her back to the atrium to Rockstar Row, Sun staying behind to wait for the pizza. They entered Chica's break room and sat her down on the couch, where she laid down. Ugh, I feel like I got hit by a race cart, Chica groaned, covering her eyes with an arm. You just rest. You want water? Roxy asked, sitting down beside Chica on the couch. Water sounds nice. Yes, please, Chica mumbled. All right, I'll get you some water. You stay there. Roxy smiled and patted Chica's leg, and then got up and headed back to the atrium. Chi-Chi sat beside Chica. You okay, Chica? Chi-Chi asked worriedly. I'll be fine, hatchling, Chica said, smiling, her eyes still covered with her arm. They sat there. Eventually Monty and Freddie and Gregory sat down, tired of standing. I'm back. I've got some ice cold, refreshing water from my gym buddy, Roxy said, and came over to Chica and helped her sit up. Thanks, Roxy, you're the best. Chica took the cup of water and gulped it down. Geez, you must be thirsty. Want more? Roxy asked, smiling down at the chicken. Her feathers were all fluffed up, and Roxy thought she looked extra cute right now. No, thanks. Chica flared as she was about to fall asleep. All right, we'll be right here when you wake up. Roxy went to sit down with the others, and eventually Chichi came over and sat in Roxy's lap, slowly falling asleep herself. In fact, all the animatronics fell into a sleepy doze. Only Gregory was left awake. He couldn't sleep, not after what Moon had told him. He forced himself to stay awake, knowing if he drifted off, he'd surely have nightmares. Son, Son smiled and hummed as he waited for the pizza. Hey, son, Moon said, sounding half asleep. Hey, Moony, you okay? Son asked, smiling. I'm fine, just tired. Moon sighed. Son nodded, feeling Moon's exhaustion in his body. Why don't you get more sleep? Son said, turning around as the oven dinged. No, I'm fine. I want to apologize to Gregory, Moon said. I imagine you do, but I'm in charge right now, Son said sternly. Get some sleep. You can take over later. Fine. Bet save some pizza for me, Moon joked. We will. Son smiled, putting on oven mitts and taking out the pizza. He smelled it with his smell sensors. It smelled delicious. He smiled and brought it to Rex's room and entered Chiga's break room. Something smells delicious, Gregory said softly, to not wake the others. A nice meaty pizza to keep up your strength, Sun said, smiling. Five noticed noses started sniffing, and soon the others were awake. Sun cut the pizza into 8 slices. Kids get first pick of what slice they want, Sun warned as Monty reached for a slice. Right, go ahead, kids, Monty said, smiling. Gregory and Chi-Chi took a slice and started eating. Then the other animatronics started eating too. Oh, this is good, Monty said, speaking with his mouth full. Mm-hmm, Chica nodded, chewing. It's actually pretty good, Roxy said, agreeing with the others. So cheesy, Chi-Chi smiled at the cheese bowl. Gregory just ate silently, while Sun took a piece and munched on the pizza, nodding in satisfaction. That was good, Chica said, leaning back, her eyes closed. Yeah, good eats, Monty agreed. Roxy nodded, licking her jaws. It is quite satisfying. Freddy smiled. Greggy just nodded, finishing off his crust. All right, Minnie's turn. Oh, right, I forgot you two have separate stomachs, Monty smirked. Yes, we do, Sun said, letting Minnie take control. Moon looked around, startled, then saw the slice of pizza. Is that mine? Moon asked. Yep, we've all eaten already, Roxy said reassuringly. Okay. Mooney picked up the slice and took a bite, shuddering at how greasy it was. So unhealthy, Moon mumbled, his mouth full. He did his best to swallow the bite without gagging, then took another bite reluctantly. Now, Mooney, you shouldn't be picky, Sun lectured. You always cook greasy food, though. Moon swallowed another bite. The Pizzaplex has some very healthy options. The kids just don't like them, like salad and smoothies. Yeah, I know, but I like them. Mooney swallowed the rest of the pizza, shuddering again. All right, thanks for the snack. Back I go. Moon forced himself to turn back into Sun and hid deep inside his mind. Moony, what's wrong? Sun asked, looking sad. Nothing. I'm fine. Moon sighed. Moony, Sun pleaded. Please tell me what's wrong. I don't want to scare Gregory and Chi-Chi. You're much friendlier looking. Moon mumbled. All right, you can hide for now, but don't think you can sulk forever. Sun sighed. Now what? Chi-Chi asked, looking around at the animatronics. Now I think we just wait until 6 a.m. Then Gregory can leave when the Pizzaplex door is open, Freddie said, sitting back down on the floor. Chi-Chi flopped down into Sun's lap and promptly fell asleep again. Poor kid's exhausted, Monty chuckled, leaning against the wall. I don't blame her. Tonight's been a lot. Sun gently petted Chi-Chi's hair. Maybe we should all get some sleep, Chica said, laying down on the couch. Scoot over, pup, Roxy said to Gregory as she sat next to Freddie. Gregory got comfortable in Freddie's lap and lay down. He was really tired, and sleep was so tempting. Maybe he could just sleep for a little while. Gregory soon fell asleep. Freddie smiled at all the sleeping animatronics. What you smiling at, Tom Pot? Roxy asked, leaning against Freddie's shoulder. Nothing. Everyone is exhausted, huh? I know I am. Roxy shrugged and put an arm around Freddie. Night, Roxy. Freddie smiled. Roxy leaned against Freddie and fell asleep. Now it was just Freddie awake, but soon he started to drift off, leaning his head on the top of Roxy's head, quickly giving her a kiss on the head between her ears, then closing his eyes. 10. The end. Or is it? Gregory groaned and sat up, blinking his eyes at the bright lights. He suddenly startled and looked at his watch. It was 8 o'clock. He did it. He made it through the night. Then his happiness faded. What now? Here he was, like Chichi, a stranded orphan, like with nowhere to go. But he had a family. Well, sort of. Freddie was the first animatronic to be friends with him. Then came the creepy jester and Chi-Chi. Then Roxy joined, then Monty, then Chica. He had a family, just not a traditional one. But still, he started to smile again, and frowned at a sudden thought. What about Vanessa? Did she still hunt children? If he were to stay here, he'd obviously run into Vanessa. Gregory sighed. He could worry about that later. For now, he had a family. He lay back down and snuggled into Freddie's hold, smiling as he saw Freddie and Roxy snuggling. What a weird night, he said, as he drifted off, happy and content with his new family.
Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. If you didn't, well, oh well. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching, and this is an edited version of the Daycare Attendant show, because Act 1, because I didn't really like how the first recording went, and I edited the story a bit, so it's a bit different, but I still hope you enjoyed. And if you did, then please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys in another video. Always stay humble and kind. Bye!